Well, hello there. My name is Mark Daly, and this is the Immigration Law Office Management Remote Training. So, I've been practicing immigration law for over 20 years, and I've worked in a wide variety of law office environments. I've been an employee, I worked as a paralegal, and I also, as an entrepreneur, opened up my own office, started it up, and ended up selling it. And so I've gone through all the different business cycles associated with starting up, marketing, and actually selling immigration law office. And so this program distills the 20 years of the most valuable lessons that I've learned the hard way about immigration law office management. And I've also gotten a lot of coaching over the years on how to manage immigration law offices. So I'm going to be incorporating a lot of stuff that I've learned around systems, business systems, putting together business systems, marketing for sure, contracts, everything really. So leadership as well. Leadership is a big thing with immigration law office management, even if you're a solo, because what's interesting about leadership is that the ideas that you have in your head manifest in your office. So it's important to have a very clear idea about what it is you want to do from the beginning. Do you want to have a law office that you can build up big and sell one day? Or do you just want to have a law office that funds your lifestyle and when you're done, you close it up? So knowing that from the very beginning is going to be the first question. I probably have already asked you this in our consultation. But you're going to want to know that because if you're going to be building it up for sale, then you're going to want to make sure that you do everything you can to create business systems that other people can learn and do in order to get the same effect that you do, which is to get a lot of profit. Okay, so that's the intro on this. We're starting at 8:30 in the morning. So this is a general outline, but I want to be able to take you through this in one day. We're going to start with our welcome, which I just welcomed, introduce myself, goals and expectations. So our goal then really is to have you become very clear about your marketing plan, your money plan, your leadership plan, your client fulfillment plan, your lead generation and lead conversion plans. All of these things, you're going to walk through my operations manual for the Immigration Law Office and see what that's like. Because the key to management is really being able to work with people and work with systems. And the best way to do that is to have an operations manual that you use. And so my expectation then is that you're going to be able to walk through the manual, you'll be able to understand all the different components of an immigration law office and really come to know some of the major choices you need to make about how you want to go forward. Furthermore, I'd also like for you to be able to understand the priorities in which you're going to do these things because there are so many steps you have to take in order to set up a law office, and it can be really overwhelming. So one of my expectations then is that you're going to have a good idea in terms of what your priorities are, where you need to start, and what you need to do. And this training really is developed in a way so that we're going to take you through the foundational issues and then you're going to keep going and everything's going to build on one another as we move through this curriculum. So we're going to take time for you to work on your own around some of the worksheets, and I want you to just go ahead, plug in, do the work right now, and understand what it is you want to do so that we can move forward and build on that. Okay. Then we're going to start with leadership. We're starting with leadership so you can create a turnkey immigration law office that produces consistent results for you and your clients. This is going to be your professional mission statement exercise, where you need to know what your mission is and where it comes from. We want you to be practicing from your soul. We want you to be practicing immigration from your heart, knowing why you're here on this planet to practice immigration law. You'll have a much better success doing it that way. It'll also help you choose a subsection of immigration law that you may want to specialize in because we have so many opportunities for specialization in immigration law. The 7 centers of management attention is the next thing we'll cover. This is the theoretical model for running a small business. So you need to be clear on this because any manager has to have a theoretical model of the system that they're going to manage. Business can be really too nebulous and it can be too vague. And so this creates 7 absolute centers of management attention that you're going to want to work on every day. It'll keep you organized and keep you managing your company in a good way. The next thing we're going to look at is tribal leadership. You're going to understand how your words create a tribe and what that really means for you in creating a law office where people are attracted to you to work with you through your language. And of course, your actions want to be congruent with your words, but it has to start with the words. So we'll look at tribal leadership, nonviolent communication, and active listening. So this is a communication model that you will use in your law office when you're talking to clients, when you're talking to vendors, and when you're talking to your staff. You have congruence here, and this is what's going to create a tribe that is highly functioning and also emotionally intelligent. That way, when clients are interacting with you or anyone on your staff, they get it. They know that you are a step ahead of other lawyers, and it's very easy for them to distinguish that you're coming from a totally different place from all the other lawyers that they've just got off the phone with. So that's nonviolent communication. Organization chart and viable system model. Now this is a different type of model. This is going to be talking about how the components of your law office actually work together. So as you're bringing people into the law office, they can quickly understand where they are and what's going on. It's also a way for you to hold the workflow in a way that's easy. We talk about a business funnel. So the business funnel is how clients actually see your marketing message and they contact you and then they become a client and then you do the work and then they become another client or they refer someone to you. So that's the business funnel. It's the life cycle of a client. We're going to be looking at that. Strategic objective. Here is where you start to get very clear around the details of your ideal office. So going back to your lifestyle office, if it's just enough to fund you and your kids' college, great. You know, you're going to create a strategic objective around that. And if it's for growth, you want to build it up, you want to hire a big staff and you want to sell it, you want to make a huge impact in your community, then that's going to be the details of the strategic objective. But either way, you want to make it explicit. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So that's how we're going to be spending the first part of the morning. The second part of the morning is going to be around management, designing business systems that support your practice to create ease and minimize costs. This is where the management operations manual comes in. I have a complete management operations manual we're going to go through. The employee handbook, and then diversity and substance abuse issues we're going to deal with at this point too. But, you know, designing a business system means that the thing can be done over and over and over and over again. And so this is why McDonald's is so popular and so profitable, is because they're able to design a business system for making hamburgers that dropouts from high school can run efficiently to make millions and millions of dollars. Same thing with Starbucks. And it's the business systems, these systems of how do we make a latte, of how do we fry up some fries, you know, how do we take the order. Everything is detailed. And so it makes it easier. It makes it easier for people working with you to do the job day in and day out. If everything is documented, you can do it the same way. So that is the management part. Then after lunch, we're going to go into the marketing part, lead generation. We're going to look at demographics, psychographics, and your messaging placement. And this is going to go about how to target your best client and also to avoid problematic clients. I have seen so many law offices get bogged down with horrible clients. And you know, when a lawyer's signing up a problematic client, a lot of times there's a red flag that they totally ignore. The red flag is waving and there's a little voice saying, don't take this client, don't do it. We're not going to ignore that anymore. We're going to have that actually be part of our funnel, so that we have an opportunity to actively weed out problematic clients. Avoid them because you want to be skimming the cream, right? You want the best clients. There's no reason why you can't have great clients who love you, who value your work, who are on time, who keep their promises, and don't lie to you. Okay, that's what we want for you. You choose that. You're going to choose those clients to come in and work with you. Marketing system worksheet. This is where we get really detailed on the messages that you want to speak and who you want to speak to, how you're going to speak to them so that it resonates with them. So when they read a weblog, or if they're reading your website, or they're watching a video, you're using the language, you're talking about things that are relevant to them, building trust and proving yourself to be an expert in this field. And then the lead generation system worksheet is another aspect of choosing where you want your ads to go. Where do you want, how do you want to contact clients? How do you want to generate leads? You don't want to be like on the back of a matchbook, right? You're a good lawyer. You want to have a lead generation system that is congruent with your message as a highly valuable, ethical attorney. And then we're going to go into the nuts and bolts of this funnel. In the afternoon, we're going to talk about productive initial telephone consultations and needs assessment. So this is where the workflow begins for you as a lawyer. We're going to start with the free telephone consultation intake form, and then your free telephone consultation intake form, the fiancé immigrant visa intake form for the citizen and both the non-citizen, and then the checklist with a sample letter. And then you're going to learn about effective research, case design, and negotiations to competently represent client and enhance loyalty. And so this is really how you do the lawyering, how you do the work. It's all about the beginning. The beginning of the relationship is where you make or break your profitability on the case. You have to know how to set a fee. You got to know how to issue spot to make sure you don't miss anything, So negotiations also. We're going to talk a little bit about negotiation techniques and strategies to enhance loyalty, right? So that they know that what they're bargaining for is what they're going to get. A lot of breakdowns in client relationships that I've seen is when you promise something and then you don't deliver it. And all of a sudden, because they're all stressed out, they turn on you, and you don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff to set up your cases. The last part is going to be about money. Managing accountability systems, lines of credit for budgeting, long-term sustainability, and client satisfaction. Creative, innovative collection systems that work consistently, right? Money systems, forecasting, right? Average salary for immigration lawyers, how much do you want to make? The AILA 2011 Attorney Survey. We're going to show this to you to do research, to know where you're sitting, what are some of the options, what are some of the other lawyers doing to make money and to deliver good services to their clients. And then there'll be question and answers, which you'll bring to me in our wrap-up consultation, and that'll be the conclusion of the program. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so we're going to begin our training by going through our operations manual. The reason we do it this way in the training is to show you what an operations manual looks like and the power of an operations manual. And so if I were just hiring you as a lawyer in my company and I was doing training with you, training you how to work in my company, you and I would sit across the table and we would break out the operations manual and we would go through the manual from beginning to end, literally, to train you on how to be a kick-ass attorney with me. And so I've done it and it's great. And so that's what I want to do. I want to do this, and I think that as we're going through, there's going to be parts of this that are very detailed, like all the tasks and how to answer a telephone and how to write a letter and all this stuff. And so I'll have you read that on your own. But I want to make sure that I go through and that we read together the main points of this operations manual. And so we're just going to start from the beginning and go through. Now you have this on your thumb drive, so if you like, you can print this out and you can actually go through the pages with a pen, fill in the things you want to fill in, circle the things you want to circle, highlight. I think it's a great idea to do it that way. So go ahead and take a minute. It's 172 pages of this operations manual. But trust me, I know it's a lot of paper, it's killing a lot of trees, but trust me, you, in order to be successful, have got to get used to working with an operations manual. It is the most important thing to your success as a lawyer. So many attorneys do not have operations manuals, and if they do, they never really use them. They don't work with them. So go ahead, take a minute, print out the operations manual, and then start the video back up again. Okay, welcome back. So here we are, Sample Managing Attorneys Confidential Operations Manual, October 17th, 2017. There's my logo. You'll put your logo on there and it looks really nice. We start with our table of contents, all right? So this looks kind of like the program that we're doing today. Introduction, our strategic objective is here, 7 centers of business attention, personal profession mission statement, organizational chart, business funnel, tribal leadership, active listening and feedback communication model, diversity trainings, mental health and substance abuse training. So this is all part of the leadership section. Right now, this is the confidential operations manual. You might want to take some of this stuff out for your hires and make a training manual out of this, but I never did that. I was always wanting to over communicate what we're doing here on all levels to my hires so that they understood all of the stuff that I was working with, especially the theoretical underpinning. So that's why I have it. And it is confidential because this is proprietary information that creates a huge distinction for your company. The second is management, and then we have the introduction, the operations manual, and employee handbook, right? Power hire system, job descriptions with salary ranges, attorney, legal assistant, office assistant, receptionist, file clerk, bookkeeper. So all of the job descriptions with salary ranges are here. Every task that every person is required to do. Sample employment contract, first day procedures, Monday morning staff meeting agenda, selection of office space. Right? So we have these guidelines. Third, client fulfillment. This is when you're actually doing the work for the client. Introduction, office systems and procedures, receptionist, office day assistant daily routine. Here we go into the small chunk. Checking voicemails, emails, payments, office assistant templates, file system, mail, phone log, timesheet, new clients. Client visits, what to do. Telephone calls, checking messages, telephone protocols, how to do the free telephone consultation, calls from non-clients, calls from clients, client status updates, needs assessment, scheduling appointments. All this stuff is written down and documented. And as in our Monday meeting, we have our staff update this. This is a living document. So this is what we are always getting our best. We're learning as we go. Technology's changing. We're changing this stuff as we go. But we have something in writing for us to key on to hold ourselves accountable to doing things the same way every time. New client setup, client computer folder, client physical file, description of the file sections, file notes, create file sheet checklists and case strategy, closing client files, Outlook for CINA, inbox, calendar, contacts, tasks, creating a task, business contact manager. Of course, I use Outlook to manage my office. There's so many different types of proprietary computer programs to manage clients, and I've used those, and I always come back to Outlook because it's easier. It's easier, and if you know how to use Microsoft Word or you know how to do Excel, the commands are uniform, and it's easy for people you're hiring to work with it. You don't have to do a separate training on a specific piece of software for them. It's also cheaper that way. Scanning documents, sending letters and correspondence, receiving letters and correspondence, printing postage from stamps.com, office supplies, sample letters and research, emails and linking, client treatments, drafting affidavits, USCIS website, needs assessment, fee setting guide, preparing and filing forms. Okay, so this is what we do in the office. This is how we love our clients. This is what we're doing. Literally, the work we do. Now, the fourth center is money. So we go about the money system, bookkeeping and financial systems, QuickBooks and financial processes, new accounts, invoices and invoice dating, printing checks, credit card charges, accounts receivables and collections, money team meeting protocols. 5th, marketing, the marketing system worksheet. 6th, lead generation, our lead generation system worksheet. 7th, lead conversion, introduction, the secret keys to maximizing your fees. Oh yeah. Contracts and extra legal services. And that's it. Those are the 7 centers. So let's jump right in, shall we? Preface. I'm going to read this out. This Managing Attorney's Confidential Operations Manual is a confidential living document designed for the Managing Attorney. From this document, you will create a separate employee operations manual that will focus on training your staff in the operations of the office. This is a roadmap that can be rerouted. It is the most current distillation of understanding regarding how to run a successful immigration law practice from our perspective. The intention of this document is for attorneys and their teams to innovate all of the systems described herein to fulfill the company mission. The operations manual is where CINA is sourced. It is not complete and will never be complete. It requires constant revision and innovation. From this foundation, CINA seeks to assemble a structure of integrity, reliability, accountability, honesty, courage, risk, intelligence, security, value, relationship, and perseverance. In this practice of law where attorneys are charged with acting with competence for the public and as a minister of justice to the system, heed this warning. You will not reach success unless you have a roadmap to get you there. I assert that the value of this operations manual is to provide you with a roadmap to becoming a successful immigration attorney. So we start with leadership. In this organization, a leader is defined as somebody others follow. Why do we follow others? Because we believe in them. What is it that we believe in? Their mission. While every team leader can be a leader, there's only one leader of the entity called CINA. It is the leader's personal and transpersonal mission that is infused into the strategic objective and illuminates all 7 centers of business attention for CINA. CINA's mission: provide high-value immigration law services and keep every promise. This was communicated to the team in the employee handbook, in meetings, written communications, accountability conversations, employee reviews, and to the public in the marketing materials, active listening, contract drafting and fee setting, collections, and careful making and performance of our promises. Because the professional mission arises from the leader's purpose as a person first and as an attorney second, it is a sustaining and energizing principle. When others enter into relationship with the mission, they feel energized. In this way, CINA becomes a dynamic, integrated entity with a life force of its own. While the leader exists physically, like me, and takes action, leadership exists primarily in the domain of language to inspire and encourage and influence your team's performance. This is why acting and speaking in ways incongruent with your mission creates breakdowns in professional and personal relationships, and especially in leadership. But don't worry, breakdowns always provide opportunities to declare your recommitment and take new actions to recreate an improved and responsive relationship and leadership. So this is Organizational Development Theory 101, that language creates our reality. Leaders are here to create language around dealing with problems, and that they are sourced from our personal mission. So that's why every leader has a different type of mission. Every office is going to have a different vibe to it. Your office is going to be sourced from your mission on this planet, and your leadership is going to communicate that congruently. So that's the goal. It's kind of a big picture thing. It's really heady and it's very theoretical, but this works. And we're going to harness this. These are laws. These are immutable laws of nature that you're going to be working with. Now, the strategic objective. So the strategic objective now, you're going to write a strategic objective. You're going to write your strategic objective, and it's going to be great. And it's going to be helpful. And I'll read you mine. In the next 5 years, by December of 2020, CINA will become the most highly profitable leader in immigration law for the city of Denver, Colorado. So profitable is different from total revenues. Like the huge firms have these huge revenues, but they're only running at like 10% profitability. For me, getting 70-80% profitability was my goal, still is my goal, because I want this business to support my lifestyle, and the profits, then profitability is the key factor for me. Now, if I'm selling my law office, then revenue is going to be a big deal, because you want to have a big revenue in order to attract buyers with a price to buy it based on revenues. Profitability is another issue, but revenue is a big one that you look to. So anyway, highly profitable leader in immigration law for the city of Denver. It is and will continue to be a well-respected, highly visible, profitable, state-of-the-art, customer service-oriented professional law corporation. Our practice will be focused on providing assistance to persons immigrating to the United States based on family relationships or pursuing investment and professional goals, helping people change and adjust status and naturalize once they are here, and to assist in defending non-citizens in removal proceedings. No divorce, no, monkeying around with other kinds of law. We're focused on one thing and one thing only. And this is important too, because we want to practice multi-state law. And in multi-state law, you have to be doing only federal law, so your practice needs to be limited to immigration. So that's why that's in the strategic objective, just to keep that focus there. CINA will lead the Colorado immigration law industry by distinguishing itself in the eyes of the consumer and the local legal community as the most trustworthy, communicative, innovative, and competent advocates available. Marketing channels will include networking with high-quality local businesses and organizations, client gifts for birthdays and anniversaries, along with how-to videos featuring local USCIS offices and courts posted on YouTube. So those are 3 channels that we're focusing on. And 3 is a good number to work on, especially if it's a small and you don't have like a marketing department. But these are the ones that I am going to work with you on. The one that's not listed here is our website, and that's actually another one. It's like a 4th marketing channel, because a lot of people do search for websites and they use SEO. Right, so that's another one, but we don't have that listed here. CINA's mission to provide high-value immigration law services and keep every promise, along with a USB of results you can count on, will be demonstrated to the consumer during the initial contact by actively listening, immediately researching, and strategically planning the services to be provided by CINA. CINA will then provide a result by preparing a detailed legal services proposal that communicate the long-term value of the services to the consumer and provide price points for all sectors of society. The CINA business system will be designed to provide legal services that exceed the client's expectations with efficiency, profitability, and predictability. CINA will have a lean, efficient team growing from a solo practice to 1 to 2 attorneys, 1 of-counsel attorney, 1 to 3 paralegals, 1 bookkeeper, a financial planner, or an internet marketing professional, 1 office assistant receptionist. The team will actively and personally train, innovate, and oversee and hold each other accountable to successfully execute the business system and maintain long-term financial health. Team members will be selected using the Power Hire protocol and practice active listening and nonviolent communication techniques. All employees will wear appropriate professional business attire and be compensated by a combination of salary and profit-sharing incentives. CINA's business system will also result in a highly productive and profitable professional corporation. CINA will create and close at least 3 new cases every week with an average contract price of $3,500 and earn annual sales in excess of $500,000. Net profits will be above 15% per year. Startup capital from the shareholders of $60,000 will be paid off in 2 years, and thereafter CINA will strive to run debt-free. We will secure a $50,000 line of credit for emergencies. CINA offices will be clean and well organized with ample natural light, healthy plants, and comfortable furnishings. The decor will have an international theme, and the company logo will be prominently displayed. So this here, strategic objective. The key word here is strategic. Right? These are all strategies, and some of the tactics are actually listed in here. But for your onboarding and working with people and even yourself, you need to be acting consistent and congruent with your strategy. So this is the strategy. This is the strategy I've used that you can use too. And this is a growth strategy. And this is a highly aggressive revenue generating strategy for building and for sale, right? But this is at the end of the 5 years. You can start off small and work your way up to here. Okay, the next one is the 7 centers of management attention. And the leader is simultaneously spending productive time in each of the following essential business domains. So this is the Michael Gerber theory of small businesses, that the leader has to know and be working in all of these areas. And the ones you're good at, great. The ones you're not good at, you need to hire people to help you. Okay, so leadership, your public commitment to your business principles that provide direction and purpose for all other business domains. The policy formation, corporate matters, trainings, coachings, and meetings. Management, the information infrastructure is the way in which you manage people, systems, and resources. It also encompasses the infrastructure and culture of your company. Lead generation is creating awareness in your target markets and attracting customers to your products and services. Lead conversion encompasses sales and the enrollment of customers and clients into your service. It's the conversion of leads into buyers. Client fulfillment includes producing and delivering on the promise made in lead generation and lead conversion. Marketing, ongoing research and analysis of all clients and the current environment, the formulation of strategies and tactics that will shape our business, questionnaires, demographic and psychographic data, website design, SEO. And then we go to money. Money in business, observing and responding to the movement of money within the business, creating the company's financial value by documenting the cash flow. Very important. Accountants and bookkeepers, QuickBooks, taxes. Okay. So here is how I actually organize my files on my computer. It's using this strategy. The most important one, money, client fulfillment, then management, marketing, lead generation, lead conversion, leadership, executive. So for instance, if we go into client fulfillment, here's my active clients, legal research, procedures, logo, ALA, and closed cases, right? If we go into money, I got my banking, I got bookkeeping, expenses, taxes, sales, CINA, sale of CINA, the first one that I sold, right? Marketing, we have our logos, photos, testimonials, bunch of different documents that I just threw in there. Lead generation. So we have our pathways, we have some of our lead generation stuff here, videos, more videos and stuff. Lead conversion. Okay, here's where we have our needs assessment, intake forms and samples, contract samples, practice areas, questionnaires. For our practice areas then, lead conversion, I'm sending out, stuff on H-1B. Here's all my H-1B stuff that I send out to people. If I've got a cancellation or removal case here, here's immigration court relief, here's some court briefs in here, right? So this is how I organize my office. And it's keeping with the 7 centers of organizational health, the Michael Gerber. So this is how I do it. This is how it actually lives in my company. Okay, so now we're going to do the professional mission statement exercise. So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and answer these questions. Give yourself some time to answer these questions. What is your highest purpose as a lawyer? Why are you here now? What are you doing? What are you really doing? What's your highest purpose as a lawyer? What makes you different from other lawyers? What are you committed to? What's your background and experience? What makes you different? from other lawyers? Why should the client care? What's the highest value to them, right? Why should the client care? Yeah, what are you doing that is so important for the client to know? What is it that you are bringing to them that they really do care about? The mission statement then. Write and rewrite and get feedback. So my mission statement, I read that to you, is that we are seen as a high value immigration law office and we keep every promise. That's what it really came down to when I boiled it all. And then publish the website on the website and in the operations manual. So take a minute then, take several minutes to get into this. What's your highest purpose as a lawyer? Why are you here now? And this information, again, you can use it in your websites. You can use this information on your materials, in your introductions, on your videos. But you need to know this while you're doing this work. Okay, the next piece then is our CINA organizational chart. So this is a great way then, let me make this a little smaller here. This is a great way for you to communicate the ways in which your office actually works together, right? Because you want to have clean lines of communication. So when a lead comes in, let's start with the lead. A lead comes in, they're interacting with the website and the SEO company. They're acting with the attorney of counsel or the marketing manager, right? They're interacting with the receptionist, right? Now the managing attorney can also go down and deal with leads if you want to. The SEO company can channel the calls to the managing attorney. The leads can go through, marketing manager, attorney of counsel who does just intake and then send it on to the managing attorney, right? The leads can go to the receptionist and then up to the managing attorney. That's cool too. And so that's how leads work then. Then clients, once they're already our client, what happens? Well, hopefully they're working a lot with the legal assistant, or they can go directly to the managing attorney if it's something really important, or they'll deal with the receptionist, right? And then our vendors, right? The vendors are going to go up and around to the bookkeeper. The vendors are also going to work with the receptionist, and through the receptionist, the managing attorney. So because managing attorneys do want to be able to talk to the vendors. So then we have the legal assistant who is going between the managing attorney and clients. Receptionist is kind of the hub here of everything. Of counsel attorneys who work on just doing intake or whatever they do with the leads. We have our bookkeeper. The bookkeeper works with the managing attorney and our vendors and our financial planner. Financial planner works with the managing attorney and the bookkeeper. So these are the critical positions of your operation. And if you're solo, guess what? You do all this. You do it all. Right? You got to be your own bookkeeper, financial planner, receptionist. You got to be your own legal assistant. You got to do your own website and SEO, So, and CINA business funnel leadership is out here. Leadership is the thing that holds all this together. It holds the whole idea of this. It starts with marketing. The marketing is, again, the psychographics. It's the information that is directing this funnel to the right people, making sure the right people see it and come into it. And they're going to see a website. They're going to get referrals. Those are the lead generation channels that we have. Lead conversion is going to be the free telephone consultation and the needs assessment, and then the contracts. So it starts with the free telephone, goes into a needs assessment, and then you deal with a contract. When you do the contract, boom, we're into client fulfillment. And then within client fulfillment, there might be extra legal services. And finally, we'll get a decision on their case. And then after that, we're going to close out the case. After we close the case, we have yearly contact, lead generation, and referral. The birthday cards, right? So that's how that works. And then within here is the money system and the management system. The management system is the operations manual that just keeps all this going. And then the money system is just every piece of this has a money component to it. So this is how the business funnel works for CINA. Now this next graph is a little more esoteric in that this is based on Stafford Beer's viable system ideas. What's actually really happening with the 7 centers of business attention as it relates to an organic, holistic business model. So all biological systems have this type of a structure to it, from a cell to a business to a human to a leaf, a tree, a mushroom. Like all of this, everything that's living has this in common. So we want to make sure that we work within the flow of this. The more flow we create around this, the more viable the system is, because we can respond quickly. And this goes around and around and around really fast, because in nature things happen extremely quickly on a biological level. So this is what we want to emulate in putting together our workflow. So it starts at the top, which is the policy function. And here's the leadership and the management. So you think of this as like the higher realms of the brain or the spirit, where you're understanding why it is you're here, what you're doing, what the leadership is, the big vision, right? And some of the management things, some things we are connected to. So then the policy goes into the control aspect of the organism. So the control is the management. That's how we control what it is we're doing and how we track what's going on. So this comes over to here then. We have coordination and monitoring management systems, right? So our operations manual is right here. This could be a brain and this could be a spinal cord, all right? But this could be the nucleus of a cell, right? And then what's going on, the connections inside the cell, all of the amino acids, enzymes, and everything that are actually creating the system to go forward. Right? Then we have the implementation. This is the actual doing. This is what your body's doing, right? So you have the implementation here, and then here are our implementations. We have an adjustment of status funnel. We have an immigrant visa funnel. We have the naturalization funnel. We have the detention and removal funnel. When we're doing something for somebody, we're working within a specific guideline. And we're doing it as a function, just like your stomach is a function, your heart is a function, your lungs do something. We have these types of business models and functions that we do over and over again. They're distinctly different from one another. Working on an adjustment of status is totally different from a naturalization or detention and removal client. So we separate this to create that kind of the specificity and the diversity within our company. And then we do that and we get a result, and it goes out to the environment. And here's the environment, and this is the future present environment, and this is the product markets. So when we go and we deliver this stuff to our client, we get feedback. They tell us they like it or they don't. Intelligence, and this is the marketing, lead generation, client fulfillment, and money. We get money coming in, we get marketing information coming in, lead generations are coming in, client fulfillment are coming in. So this can be new clients, this can be current clients. They go in here and our management system says, okay, this is something we need to add to the operations manual. Or maybe it says, let's send it up because we really need to change our policy now. We need to change our policy about something as we're working and getting in feedback from the environment through our intelligence. And then we'll stick it down here, back into the operations manual. It goes in and the work changes. The work changes and gives a new output to the environment, which then creates another spark of intelligence coming in that's going to be positive, negative, whatever it is. And we go through this again and again and again. And we're constantly updating our operations manual. We're constantly asking for feedback. We want to hear from our clients. We want to hear what's working from them, from not working from them. We are gathering intelligence from our leads when they come in. How did you find us? What was it, what did you like about our website? Whatever it is, you ask, you're continually getting intelligence. You got to be smart, and you'll see this in our documents where we have prompts for people who are working with us on our team to ask questions of clients and prospective clients in order to bring this up into our management and into our leadership. So this is the viable system model. This is what we're actually doing day after day. And as a leader, you need to know this. Because if you don't document stuff and you have a breakdown on this, it's not going to be viable. If you're not having clear management systems, the systems are not going to be able to operate clearly. Furthermore, if you're not listening to the environment, you're not going to know what the impact of this is in the field, and your brand is going to go down. Your brand's going to suffer, and you're not going to be able to actually fulfill the client's needs. Now we move to tribal leadership. Tribal Leadership is a book written by Logan King and Fisher, and it was like a 30-year study that they did from Southern and Northern California. These guys were professors in Stanford and down at USC. And so they got into companies and they did a 30-year study on leadership and what creates extraordinary companies. How do companies that are crappy get turned around? You know, when do good companies start to fail? What happens? And what they determined was all about the language. It was the language that was used. When new leaders came into good companies and they started to change the way they talked about things, the company started to change. When good leaders would go into crappy companies and start talking about things in a good way, then the company would also evolve. So they look at the types of conversations that are going on in the company, and they hold the leaders responsible for speaking a certain way in their business. And this is the way that they can create a successful business. So I want to share this with you because you want to be speaking to your clients, you want to be speaking to your staff, you want to be speaking to yourself in these ways. So let's look at this. Tribes are built around communication and are identified by language, right? And tribes, that's the basic human component, right? You have fish have schools, you know, dogs have packs, and people have tribes, right? So we have tribes, and this is how we work, and we have personality style differences, and hopefully a tribe has all different types of personalities, so it's diverse and is viable. And so the Stage one policy thinking, conversations, remember the stage one policy of the viable system model. What's actually going on inside the brains? What's going on in the leaders? What's happening here? Okay, so life sucks is a despairing hostility, and as 2% of businesses in the US have a dominant conversation that is characterized by life sucks, right? These are jails. These are, post offices where the gunman comes out and shoots everyone, where everyone, the dominant conversation is life sucks. It's like despairing hostility. I don't know if you ever worked in a company like that, but it's absolutely horrible. You've been in businesses, like small businesses, like maybe run by an immigrant where they're just buried with debt and they're using their kids to work and they're yelling at their kids and everyone's running around and you just see it in their eyes, and you just the store is just beat, it's dirty, no one cares, like a little gas station thing. Life sucks. Stage two though, my life sucks, which is the apathetic victim. Now this is really common, and they found that 25% of businesses in the US have my life sucks. Now this is a little more subtle, but it's the same basic message, but it's apathetic. It's like, my life sucks. I'm just going to work, I'm just going to earn this paycheck, I'm disengaged, and I hate my job, and I kind of hate myself. So it's an apathetic victim where people are beat down and they're not motivated to give feedback because it doesn't work. And so a lot of big businesses are this way as well, like, road crew businesses, state government businesses, federal government businesses are this way. Tax, you go into these big DMV, you get a driver's license, and everyone there is just apathetic victim. They do the least amount. They don't really help anyone. They don't go out of their way to help anyone because it's all my life sucks. Okay, then the next one, I'm great and you're not. Stage three, I'm great and you're not. The lone warrior with the grunts, right? 49%, look at this, half of US businesses are dominated by I'm great and you're not conversations. So here's the thing, academia is I'm great and you're not. I'm a professor and you're like the first year, grad student. You suck. You're not great. You're a lowly, lower hierarchical person. Militaries are this way. The generals are great and the privates are not great. Law offices so dominated by I'm great and you're not. You have the big, peacocking attorneys who are like the trial attorneys who are like all badass, or the big corporate dudes who go in and cutting the deals, and the little grunt lawyers who are running around drafting little things are definitely not great. You don't even get to look at those people as you're walking down the hallway, right? The lone warrior with the grunts is this hierarchical leadership style and communication style. I'm great and you're not. There's a line here because the research shows that moving into stage 4 and stage 5 are the successful companies, and they have higher levels of engagement, higher levels of productivity, higher levels of profitability, exponentially higher levels. And it's because the conversation is we're great and they're not. There's a tribal pride that's crushing the competition, right? And only 22% of companies are this way, right? This is where you want your company to be. You want to be stage 4, right? It says down here, CINA is a stage 4 company that often reaches stage 5, right? But stage 5 is life is great. Making history. We're in the flow. We've got immigration karma, right? So stage 4, we're going to go into this again. We're great and they're not, okay? So when you're sitting around the table and you're looking at your operations manual and you're updating the operations manual and your staff are bringing in new ideas and you're saying that's a great idea, let's update the model, we're great. We're great. We're going to get this. We had a horrible disappointment and I'm the leader and you blew a case, you blew a filing, whatever, okay? We're going to pay our client $100. We broke a promise. Okay, it's good. We're great. In spite of our mistakes, we're still great because look at us. We're dealing with this in a way that preserves our team and we have tribal pride, and we take care of one another and we figure out what's wrong and we find a systematic solution to the problem. We don't blame one another. We're talking to one another in ways that are nonviolent. We're talking to one another in ways that take into consideration people's personality styles. We have a lot of pride in what we're doing. You're going to start to find that the feedback from this type of a company is incredible. You get great results in your clients, you get referrals, and there's just this, it's just a vibe that is powerful, really powerful and very successful. So as a leader, you're going to have to start learning how to speak in ways that are we're great and they're not. That also means giving praise and acknowledgement to your workers when they do something right and when they do something wrong. And then life is great. Life is great. Like it's all good. This is where, of course, I'm a pretty positive person, so I was able to have the conversation that life is great, like it's all good, like immigration karma. We worked with clients from India, and we had a client who told us that we could be blessed by the guru, so we got blessed by a guru, and we started winning cases. It's kind of fun, but when you really do feel in the flow and you win cases that are impossible to win, it starts to just show you can use this to go, life is great. We are actually making history. I remember filing same-sex petitions, I-130s, male, for people who are in detention, for people in removal hearings, and then filing appeals based on, violation of basic human rights and the protections of the Constitution, way before the DOMA was turned over, because it was the right thing to do. And so we advocated for our clients that way. Same-sex marriage, those types of cases. We're making history here. We're doing this. I remember I said to my brother, we were always talking about the worst clients and the horrible criminals that would come to us. And my brother said, you know what, I'll never work for a child molester. I'll never take on that case. And I'm like, oh God, I'll never do that too. Well, a week after that conversation, I got approached by a child molester who told me that he was set up, he was framed, he didn't do it, and he had a signed statement from the child who said he actually didn't do it. It was her dad, And I started to go into the case, and it was incredible, all the political pressure, because the dad was the son of the mayor of the town, and they needed someone else to be the fall guy. And he took a plea deal, and he got this on his record. And I took the case because I really believed him. I saw his family. His family was incredible. And we go to the removal hearing. They show up with the file, and here's the criminal records, and they don't have his name on the criminal records. And I moved to terminate, and we won that case because the immigration lawyers for the government blew it. They made a mistake that they never make. Criminal records without the person's name on it. No way to say that these criminal records are my client. So this is the immigration karma. This is the flow. This is what we're shooting for. Magic can happen when you create the conditions for it by having a policy in your brain that life is great and that we're great and they're not. So that is what I want to communicate to you. We practice active listening and nonviolent communication as we pursue our personal and company missions. Now, this is too woo-woo for you. That's fine, but I'm just saying, 20 years in, I know this stuff, and I've used this stuff, and my team love this stuff. And if you get a team member who doesn't like it or is not really comfortable with it, they're on the wrong team. It's okay. They can go down to the law office down the street, where it's I'm great and you're not. Active listening and WORLA feedback communication model. Why do we practice communication models? Because it creates safety for us and our clients. We use it with our clients and with our team. Use this technique when receiving complaints. These two tools are required to work at CINA. So this is the leadership. This is leadership saying that we are committed to speaking differently. This is how it shows up. It's actually in the operations manual. And this is the key, again, to creating a law office that's going to be successful. Many of our clients come from violent and dangerous backgrounds. Many of our clients have been preyed upon by unethical attorneys. Many have also been traumatized by dealing with U.S. government's enforcement of immigration laws. Our clients can eagerly hire us to represent them and their loved ones and then quickly perceive CINA as a perpetrator. They may turn on us and become hostile or non-responsive to preserve their power in the relationship, especially when they run out of money and cannot meet their contractual agreements. If you practice immigration law enough, you'll know that this is true. You'll know this happens. It's a natural thing. It's nothing to be freaked out about. It is something to be prepared for. And using a communication model like this will help you manage this so that you can get through this quickly without having a huge impact on the office. We cannot change any of these mental, financial, and emotional states for our clients. However, because CINA is committed to its mission, we will always provide active listening and feedback to 1, create relationship with our clients, and 2, to distinguish ourselves from perpetrators that live in the past for our clients. So this is really a psychological stand that I take as a leader to create compassion for our clients, because so much of us here in the United States, if we're not immigrants, we just don't know. You just don't realize it, And, rich kids going to law school, coming out of law school, they don't know what's going on, A lot do, and they do get it. So being perceived as a perpetrator of violence, to have that projection thrown onto you can be shocking. Can be very shocking, and you can get hostile and aggressive back at the client. But this tool helps us mitigate that and get back into relationship and just keep going. It's too big of an impact to fight every client who thinks that you're the boogeyman. Okay, active listening, patience. This is one reason why we charge big fees. This is when we're putting together our times for services. How long does it take us to do everything? We add time because we use active listening, which takes patience. So we take longer on the phone with our clients. This is a basic foundation of the communication model. It meets the basic human need for acknowledgement and approval and challenges the presumption that we are perpetrators. It provides for new agreements to be made quickly based on clear statements of the issue. Active listening slows down emotionally charged communications and re-engages mental processes in our clients so that they make promises and understand our requests. It takes time. So what I'm saying is that people who are triggered need to go back out of their amygdala into their frontal cortex. This is a psychobiological phenomenon that we're working with by using this tool so that our clients can go out of blaming and fear, fight or flight into agreements, making new agreements. This is why CINA charges more than other law offices. We commit to spending our time to our clients and acknowledge a person's humanity. We value the input from our clients, so we factor in more communication time with our clients. If they start going way off track or making up allegations against us that are not true, we deal with that after we capture and confirm the information coming from our clients. So we capture the information, the first part of active listening. Tell the clients that you wish to hear whatever they want to say, because this is what we do. We are here to help immigrants with their immigration problems. This is the invitation to enter into relationship and defines the relationship. We are not therapists, and we are not punching bags. And we are opening the floodgates. Know that. A lot of lawyers do not feel comfortable opening the floodgates. You can see them while they're doing a needs assessment or an intake. Their faces are all scrunched up. They're like, oh God, don't tell me this stuff. Please just stop. Don't go over. You know, we create the conditions for our clients to open the floodgates. So take notes if possible. Make references. Point in the story, dates, relatives, crimes. Ask for minimal clarifications and let them puke and purge. If it's all good, then you will make a transcript later. Do not impose chronological restraints. Breathe. Stay grounded. Be of service in your listening. Take notes. This is one of our highest values because many of these people have never been listened to by their family, spouses, children, employers, or other attorneys. After they tell their story without interruptions, they will have trust and loyalty to CINA, and CINA keeps up with what is happening to immigrants. Okay, so capturing the information. You know, when I'm doing like some of the most really intense storytelling that clients do is on the first intake, and sometimes I'll just turn the recorder on. I'll say this is completely confidential. I'm just going to record what you're going to have to say. You know, make a note of it, and I'll just let them go and just hold space for them. You know, you build this connection, and they create this loyalty to you, which has a financial impact, but also makes them much easier to work with down the road. You know, so very important. Actively reflect back their words. What I heard you say was. Repeat the words or paraphrases spoken by speaker until speaker agrees. You may have forgotten much of what was said if they are on a full-blown rant. Look at notes for reference points. Ask speaker to repeat what was said to take more notes, and stop speaker when you've reached your capacity to remember. Just repeat what was said and keep boiling it down to the essence of their request. Don't make up or embellish what they say. When there is agreement on their main points and requests of CINA, you've completed the second step. Being the listener is extremely difficult, and you may get angry and want to tell the speaker to get a life, or people in hell want ice water, or you may get sad and want to help rescue the speaker from all of their problems. Adapting personality styles is helpful to keep clients on track. If a speaker can't agree, then don't go forward with the communications. Ask the speaker if they have any final facts that they have not yet stated and repeat it back to the speaker, and then get out. So what I'm saying here is that when you're reflecting back, this can be hard if they go on for 30 minutes, you know. But what we're doing is we're boiling down because we're issue spotting. And we issue spot and we ask them, okay, here's what I'm hearing you say. You go down to the main points that are relevant to the legal matter that we're going to be working with, right? And a lot of times people go on and on, and it can trigger in you an emotional response to judge them, which is normal. But we want to go and get agreement with the key points, and you want to make sure. So all right, let me just check in. When he came over the border, did he actually say he was a U.S. citizen, or did he just sit in the back while someone else said he was a U.S. citizen? What happened there? You know, go and narrow down. And this is after they've given their big story. So that's the way we work in terms of actively reflecting back their words. You want to make sure that you reflect back. So what I heard you say is, you came across the country when you were 17, blah blah blah, and give it back to them. And then you determine their underlying need and request. All humans have the same underlying needs: safety, respect, fairness, protection, acknowledgement, variety, love. Active listening is achieved when the listener can understand what the speaker's needs are. If the speaker was not clear on their needs, then this creates value in the conversation. Meaning, if they don't know what their needs are and you help them figure out what their need is, you're doing something really positive for them. Most people are not focused on their own needs, just in solving the problems. So this will help the listener stay grounded. So if you got everything you wanted, what would that give you? Is a great way to wrap up and start to get focused on what they're really needing. What do they need? So, there's different contexts for this. One could be a lead conversion conversation when they're in and they're telling your story and you're starting to value the case, finding out what the underlying needs, and then the request could be just as simple as, so you want me to get you a green card with a work authorization card, and you want me to go to the interview with you, and you want me to make sure that I'm available on the phone 24 hours a day, and you have my cell phone number so you can text me. Is that what you want? And that's because you're scared because you had a bad lawyer last time. Is this what you want? Those are the types of questions you can ask to start to get people into their underlying needs and to make a request. Yes, this is what I want. I want you to be a lawyer that stands by me all the time, that I can call anytime I need help. And then you go, great, we can do that. Here's how much we charge for that, right? It can be that. It can also be a situation where we're getting feedback, where when you blew the deadline and you didn't get my labor certification filed in time, I felt really mad, and I'm pissed, and blah, blah, blah. And then you can, well, that's what I heard you say. I heard you say that you're really mad at us because we blew the deadline. So it sounds like you need integrity around this. It sounds like you may need an apology. What is it you really need? Maybe you want a refund. Maybe you want to fire us. What do you need? What do you need? I want to know what you need, and do you have a request around that? And after you say back what it is the problem is, and you own it and you talk about it, not that never happened, but I hear you. Yeah, we blew the deadline on that. The relationship's going to change. You're going to create the conditions for people especially when they're doing the underlying need and request. It's amazing what the request ends up being. No, I just wanted you to hear me. I just wanted to be heard. A lot of times that's a request. Or I just want you to do it better next time. Or I don't want you to lie to me. I want you to tell me the truth. Okay, have you heard the truth? Yes. So after the need is stated, now the request must be stated. We must have a choice to say yes or no and not assume that we can meet every request. Clarify the dates, clarify the urgency, and any potential costs or extra legal services. So when they make a request, that's a request, yes or no. They make a demand is different. They're demanding us, and if we have an ethical duty, there's no about that. We say yes. But if they're making a request, then we say yes or no. And we're never going to abdicate that power. We're never going to feel like we can't say no about anything. This is why we have the skill of determining the underlying needs and forcing them to make a request clearly. Then they have to be accountable for it, because we get to say yes or no. So just to be clear, what are you requesting me to do about this? That's a great line. After they've gone through everything, you've reflected back, their panic has subsided, you can get into a request. State each request and make a promise that you can keep. Even if the promise is to discuss the request with somebody else, or to research the issue, or to think about the request for 24 hours, by making a promise you can keep, you give closure to the conversation. Write down the conversation into the tasks, that's the Outlook program, and use the calendar to block off the time for you to perform your promise right then, right there. Do not, when someone makes a request and you make that promise, you've got to memorialize the promise. This is the soul of your business. This is everything. Is this client fulfillment? It's just fulfilling the promises that you make. If you break a promise, pay the $100 integrity refund and make a new promise. That's why we had this $100 integrity refund here, is because our business system requires us to make promises and keep them. So that's why we've built it up to have an integrity refund where we're really clear about the promises we make. Really clear. Okay. So that's active listening. And that's great for when clients are panicking or in a really bad state, and we're just going to chill and we're going to have patience. Now, this next communication model is giving feedback, Orla. So feedback is when you feel like you've been wronged. Okay, so this could be a team member you're working with. This could be a vendor you're working with. This could be your client. Most of the time it's a client. When they do something sideways that's really out of integrity, then you're going to want to give feedback on that. So here's how we do this. We talk about what happened, your observation free from judgment. So here's an example. What happened? Last week you didn't complete the report on time. So this would be for a team member. And it's not like you never complete your reports on time. Okay, that's not data. That's all judgment. You got to pull the judgments out from your observation. Last week you didn't complete your report on time. I noticed you arrived 5 minutes late for the meeting. When I asked you to return your tax returns to me by Friday, you didn't get them here till Thursday. No judgment. You start with just what happened. Very powerful, because then they don't get defensive. And their brains, because when you hit them with a judgment, the natural tendency is defend yourself from judgments, because judgments are not cool. Judgments hurt. But what happened, there's going to be a part of their mind that's going to be, okay, that's true. That did happen. When it's no judgments. That's the first thing that happened. Then what was the impact on you or others? Clearly state your concern around the incident. Here's an example. I need to be able to count on you. And the team didn't meet our goals. When you didn't complete the report on time, the impact was that, my concern is that I need to be able to count on you. Or when you didn't complete the report on time, the team didn't meet our goals. Or when you didn't give us the tax returns in time, we had to reschedule the work block that we'd set up for that to another date. And we lost out on that work block. When you missed the appointment that you didn't set up, the impact on me was that I lost, a half hour of productive time during the day getting ready for our meeting that I'll have to do again next time. That's the impact, okay? What is your request around what happened? Give 3 options or identify it as a demand, because sometimes it might be demands. Here's an example. My request is that you complete your reports by the deadline. Right? My demand, the demand is that you show up on time for your appointments. When you set a deadline for your delivery of documents to us, you have to do it before the deadline. The impact is too huge. Or it might be my request is that if you're going to be late, you give us a notice, give us a heads up. Just calling us is going to be helpful. Or if you're coming in late on a meeting, let us know. Let someone else know. Shoot me a text, something. And then they're going to have then you're going to listen for their perspective, and you're going to use active listening because you want to hear their reply to your request. This whole first part then, has just happened. Then you go into the law, right? Listen and get agreement. Listen. So what I hear you say is that you've got pneumonia, and so you couldn't make it on time. What I heard you say is that you didn't remember that you had a meeting and it didn't go on your calendar even though you set it in and it flew off. Okay. What I heard you say was blah, blah, blah. Did I get that right? Okay, great. And then the request. No, the agreement. Is that something you can agree to? Well, is it something you agree to? The request. You might, hearing what they have to say, you might have to change the agreement then that you want. You might have to change your request, get them into agreement in a different way after hearing what they have to say. And that's important. You want to listen and get their feedback. to get agreement, before you get agreement, because you might need to go back and make a new request based on what's going on. So the R and the L, you might flip back and forth on that a little bit before you go into the agreement, but you've got to go and you got to finish the conversation with an agreement. Is that something you can agree to? Yes, memorialize it. If you're a leader and you're working with, a team member, then you're going to have a memorialization in their file if it's a big breakdown about what happened. You're going to do this WERLA. And a lot of time, doing WERLA, you want to do this communication before you actually have the communication. You want to plan it out, especially if it's a team member who's having a big breakdown. You want to write down the WERLA and you want to memorialize it in their file so you can really track what it is you told them, when you told them, and what the agreement was. That's the kind of accountability you want to have with your team members. You don't want shit to be sliding and slipping. You want to be able to nail stuff down, and this is how we do it. So then when you're practicing WERLA, you want to work with a partner to identify the elements of the WERLA and the scenarios below. There's more than one possible answer. So when I'm training staff, then we're going to go through and have them practice. Here's one. A direct report is consistently not meeting their weekly goals. You're concerned about the impact on the team. So you would do a little practice here on the WERLA. Come up with your own scenario, one between the two of you, based on something that recently occurred you need to give some feedback about. So, when we're doing our trainings, then this is what we do. And then we talk about this here. What is the person's personality style? Well, we use the DISC personality style system. And DISC, it comes up later in the operations manual where we have a whole thing on DISC here. But knowing person's personality style is a high level of intelligence for a company to integrate into their communication model. And that's why we do it. And this is why we charge so much and why people are just blown away by the results. Okay, giving and receiving feedback. This feedback model goes deeper as it is used by team members with other team members or clients or anybody. When they've been offended. When you get trashed, don't lash. When you get blamed, don't shame. Soon the trainings will merge with your personality style and you'll be able to address hot topics and rude behavior in a way that will maintain your power and respect. We support spirited challenging of SINA ideas. Remember that breakdowns are necessary for building new structures of relationship. When we get challenged, it is our biology and a natural learning rhythm to push people away and not want to engage in conflict. These tools can repair these difficult situations. SINA employees must practice this communication tool. Those people who cannot communicate in this model will not be able to carry out our company mission. So, giving feedback. The injured, wounded person states the problem and expresses vulnerability. When you, or what I am observing you is, state the facts of what happened, specific, objective, observable behavior, what a person does, not what a person is, not interpretation or diagnosis. When you arrive late for the meeting, I felt feelings and emotions. So we're having a high level of emotional intelligence when we start to bring in this piece here. I felt sad, angry, hurt. I felt shame. I felt descriptions of pain in the body. I felt my stomach churn. It's not interpretation or blame. You made me feel. That's not it. I felt like you were is another one here. It's not it. I felt angry. Okay. When you arrived late for our meeting, I felt angry because, and then I expected, I wanted, I thought. Here it's non-blaming interpretations are okay. We're talking about the unmet wants and needs. But judgment and complaints are poorly expressed needs, so we don't want to use judgments and complaints. Check this out. Because I had planned a busy day and needed a full hour with you to talk about this very important issue. Okay, that is a need. That is an expectation that you had. And what I need is, or what I would like is, specific, objective, observable behavior. It's okay to just want the other person to hear you. Receiving the truth from others that inspires compassion, is a big deal, actually. And what I need for you to be is on time for us to have a fun and productive meeting. All right. So this is the giving of the feedback. And then receiving feedback. Guess what? If I'm coming in late, how do I receive the feedback? When faced with an injured or wounded person, blaming and judging or expressing themselves with a feedback protocol, offender acknowledges and expresses their vulnerability. Usually active listening provides feedback to close out a challenging situation. So again, we have conflicts in law offices all the time, and this is how our team deals with people who are coming at us. What did I do that caused you to feel this way? Are you reacting to, then you use the action language and your specific behavior that's at the root of the other person's feelings. What happened? Specific, objectable, observable behavior. It's what a person does, not what a person is. Are you reacting to my arriving 15 minutes late for our meeting? Like someone's in there, you're coming in late, and it's stony silence, and someone's just, arms crossed in front of them. Are you reacting to my 15 minutes late for our meeting? Are you feeling frustrated and angry? Right? You go into the feelings. Feelings and emotions, it's not interpretations or blame. And then because you wanted or you thought, are you feeling frustrated and angry because you expected me to be on time and are sick and tired of people being late of all the time? You can throw in some words like that to bring a little humor, which can lighten things up, but you're also going to the issue and you're taking responsibility for the issue. And then, would you like me to keep guessing till you get it right or the other person says it? Specific, objective, observable behavior. It's okay for the other person to just want to be heard. Do not give answers and advice. Do not try to solve things for them. Would you like me to make an agreement to always be 10 minutes early for our meetings, and if not, to call you and let you know that I'll be late? Make a new promise. Now you are back in relationship. So this is the communication model then that we use. And when you start to build a practice around this communication model, it's incredibly powerful. Okay, so now we come into the SENA diversity presentation. So, I did diversity training in my office because we had multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-gender office. And, I wanted to do the type of training to where our office could really understand diversity. And because we were working with, gay and different cultures from dominant white culture. And so it was just a conversation that I felt we needed to have in order to create maturity in our office, to be able to hold people where they were. And I'm really glad I did. So I documented that. And the protocols are here in the diversity presentation. So I'll let you go ahead and read this on your own, but just the big takeaways here. The diversity training that we had, here it is. Here's what happened. We used a talking stick, and we went around and did heartfelt sharing. It was so powerful. It was so profound. People cried. And this is the kind of bonding experience that we actually had in the office. It took me as the leader to get vulnerable. I sat down, I passed the stick, I was sitting there right there with him. And what happened was it takes away that hierarchical, structure of the office. It makes it more horizontal, makes it more egalitarian. And I'm telling you, the feeling of we're great really gets huge when you can create the safety to have a conversation like this in your office. Here's how it went. The leader facilitator first presents the diversity presentation to the team. Then, and that's all down here. It's like this diversity training, it's here. This part of it, the story of the racism and gender discrimination in the United States. So everyone reads that. Then the leader discusses the subject of the 4 rounds and the rules around the talking stick. The leader describes nonviolent communication and walks through the protocol. 5 minutes for team members to work out the communications they want to have with one another on paper. So this is good if there has been an incident where there's been someone who said something racially insensitive to someone, or gender issues have come up, then we can work it out this way So we're talking about nonviolent communication in order to create the feedback, WRLA, those types of communications protocols that we're going to use to communicate breakdowns with one another. The first round of the CENA diversity training program starts with each team member sitting in a circle discussing their personality style and what is true for them. So again, personality style is a big part. There's going to be a separate video on personality style that I put together. And in the manual, there's also a thing on personality style. But everyone's trained in personality styles and everyone knows their personality style. Okay, the second round we use nonviolent communication to discuss breakdowns arising from personality style differences with team members, clients, and anybody else, and give praise for creative accommodations people make around modifying their communications towards others' personality style. So what we're doing here is we're creating a mental idea that personality style is the most important distinction in diversity because it is immutable. Right? It's more central to people than race, more central than age, gender, physical ability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, because you can have race, a certain race, and within race there's going to be different personality styles. You can have people with a sexual orientation one way or the other, and within that is personality style. So it's more core. So this is why our diversity conversation starts with us talking about our personality styles. We start to realize diversity based on personality styles. And this is a unifying concept. And then we move out into the different types of values, perceptions, expectations, and assumptions that we have. Okay. Then the third round, we open it up for sharing about ways that we have been hurt by others' biases and prejudice, and we have hurt others. Each person uses the talking stick, and we encourage I statements, talking about myself, NVC, and we set a timer so people have equal amounts of sharing time. The takeaway is to have compassion for one another, knowing that we are all learning as we go. And the talking stick, the rule of the talking stick is when someone has a talking stick, no one else speaks. So when the person has the talking stick, they're safe to know they're not going to get interrupted, they're not going to get shamed, and they tell their story around being hurt by other people's biases and prejudices. And, it can be anything on here. It can be personality style, My mom and my brother were different personality styles for me, and I had this personality style, and I was hurt all the time because I would want to do this and they wouldn't want to do that. And it just never stopped. Maybe it's age. Maybe I was the youngest person in the group and I got hurt by that. Maybe it's race, gender, maybe it's marital status. Maybe it's an educational thing. I didn't, have a lot of education. I got hurt and held over by someone who put me down because of my education. Or maybe it's my emotional intelligence, or work experience, like all these different, my seniority. I don't have a lot of seniority here and I was hurt by that. So all these are game. Anything in here is game. But if we're talking about I statements, then we're just telling our story from our perspective. And if our story about being hurt involves someone else in the room, this is when we encourage the WRLA and we encourage, accountability in terms of the data and the feeling underneath it and get people to be not so judgmental and hurtful of one another. So as a leader, you have to be able to moderate this type of a diversity training. The takeaways have compassion for one another, knowing that we are all learning as we go. We hold ourselves accountable for our biases and prejudice and practice letting go of judgments towards ourselves and others. The nonviolent communication must be monitored for compliance by the team because falling out of the protocol may result in hurt feelings and a new breakdown in trust for one another. Right? By the end of the third round, we'll be ready to close. Take note of any commitments team members have made to one another and create accountability buddies and outcomes if they go unfulfilled. The fourth round will close the training. Everybody is given 1 minute to share a takeaway. Begin the fourth round by saying, after this last round, everyone is free to go. You don't have to say anything to anybody. So say goodbye in the fourth round if you like. So that's the diversity training. It's its own thing. It's a standalone training. Maybe you come in on a weekend and do it, or you close the office for the morning or the afternoon. Better in the afternoon where people can leave afterwards, and you do something like this. A second training is the privilege walk. Employees line up shoulder to shoulder and take one step forward for yes or back for no in response to questions about aspects of privilege. See below. After several questions, we look around to see our diversity with reference to who is ahead and who is behind, and then we break into discussion. So you ask these questions. Who has a high school education? They take a step. Who has a college education? Another one. More than a bachelor's, who owns their own home, who's white, who's male, heterosexual, earns more than 30K a year, 40, 50, 60, who's over 25, who is under 60, who speaks more than one language, who is a licensed professional, right? And so you start to realize, for me, my privilege becomes really clear in the room. And, you know, the idea for that is to create compassion and equality in the work spot, where we realize that there is privilege and there's non-privilege, and it really hurts to not be in the privileged space. And so people with privilege can look around and get a reality check and go, shit, you know, these people have, you know, these inherent it's almost like a weight around their ankles that is keeping them from performing and being as free as I am, because I have all this privilege, all this extra energy that society says is great, and social acceptance moving me forward on my path. So it creates this type of awareness for people with privilege. It also creates awareness for people who don't have the privilege, and we can have conversations around that. And then we have our diversity training. And so this is a whole thing that you can read on your own. And it goes into the history of the United States, gender bias, racial bias, sexual orientation bias, age bias, and then our commitment by management to anti-bias policies. And then we have training and education. We have mentoring. Wanting a work-life balance for people. The goal is to develop lead attorneys that reflect the diverse communities in which CINA does business. So we're wanting to create diversity in the community and support people who are underprivileged to step up and start to represent the communities. Defining diversity in its broadest context. Diversity is defined as recognizing, appreciating, valuing, and utilizing the unique talents and contributions of all individuals regardless of age, career experience, color, communication style, culture, disability, educational level or background, employee status, ethnicity, family status, function, gender, language, management style, marital status, national origin, organizational level, parental status, physical appearance, race, regional origin, religion, sexual orientation, thinking style, speed of learning and comprehension, etc. So there's that. The next thing is the mental health and substance abuse. Again, this is part of our operations manual, but we talk about drug abuse, dependence, and treatment, and chronic chaos and mental health. A look in the mirror, looking at your own stuff. What to do, tips when you have this, tips for a healthy office. So this is just for a leader, it's really good to know how to deal with this. So now we go into management. Okay, so management then is the way in which you manage people, systems, and resources. It also encompasses the infrastructure and culture of your company. Remember, when there is a breakdown in the company, the system is the solution. Use these systems and get the employees to help innovate the systems. What do we mean by the system as a solution? Well, when there's a breakdown in the company, we want to focus on, okay, so what is the way of doing things right now that led to the fact that we missed that deadline? What is it that we're doing that led to the breakdown of missing a deadline, rather than, so why did you screw this up? What did you do? We start with the system. We look at the systems approach, and then from the system, we can see how people are influenced one way or the other, and we can make changes in the system, right? Through that conversation, people can take personal responsibility. But management wants to look at a system because that's something that can be replicated over and over and over again. And we really believe in management that we can create systems that produce a good outcome over and over and over again. So we look to the system and we hold the system responsible. Management is about sharing policy insights to employees. Its function is to coordinate and monitor what we're doing as CINA, like a central nervous system. It's also about finding and retaining employees with CINA. So it talks about the operations manual, the employee handbook. And then we go into our power hire system. Hire the right person first time by using the fun group interview designed by Transformative Training Solutions for CINA. So this is, the human resource system is the first system that our management covers because our people are so important. And I had such a huge breakthrough with hiring people by doing this very unorthodox way of getting employees. Hire the right person the first time using the fun group interview designed by Transformative Training Solutions for CINA. The Power Hire is a unique and complete solution to hiring the right employees that match your position, your needs, your team the first time. So it's cost efficient, less time interviewing, because what you're doing is you're getting a whole room full of people and you're giving them a presentation on personality style, and you have them talk about their personality style, and you understand what their personality style is. So you talk to them about personality style, everyone's self-assessed, and right then when they're talking about their personality style, you start to get some idea about if they're going to be a good fit for the job or not, because certain personality styles are better fit for occupations and job tasks. And then we do interactive games together as a group to observe them and see if their actions are really consistent with their self-assessment on their personality style. So someone says, yeah, I'm really a driver, I'm really driven, I'm really, task-oriented and fast-paced, and they get into the game and they're slow and they're whatever, there's something different than what they said they were going to be like because of, they want to be liked, and they know that what the position's looking for. Like, let's say it's a paralegal position. If we're looking for a paralegal, then we want someone who's going to be detail oriented, let's say, and they pretend to be detail oriented. We get them into a fun interactive game and we can see they're not detail oriented. Then we know that they're not going to be a good choice for the position. I've done this several times. When I sold the company to the new lawyer, several of my people left. There was some timing on it, but they also, I guess they just loved me, and they were afraid that the new company wouldn't be the same. So we did I told her, look, the buyer of the company, I said, look, we will go ahead and do a power hire, and I'll facilitate it, and we'll get you some good staff. So we listed Craigslist, and we listed notices at the law schools for these positions. She needed a paralegal and an office assistant. And, we wrote down the job description and the task, and we said we're going to have a fun group interview, so contact us. So when they called, they were like, what's the fun group interview? And we just said, well, it's when we're getting everyone in the room at the same time, and we're going to do some games and just talk about personality style and stuff for the interview. And most of the people at that point were like, okay, I'll do that, that's cool. And so some said, that's weird, I don't want to do that, and they didn't come. Well, you know what? Thank you for not coming. So I swear, we had like 30 people in the room. And one guy was there. He was in Nashville, right? So he was Vanderbilt Law. He had his little Vanderbilt Law pinky ring on. And he looked around and said, oh my God, this is ridiculous, and walked out. And I looked at the lawyer and I said, perfect. Here's someone who's not a team player. Anyone else want to go? Anyone else? And no one left, man. There were 29 people there. And so we did it. I did the teaching on the disc. I got everyone to self-assess on the disc. It's such an easy personality style system. And everyone did, and we reported out, and everyone talked about their personality style, and I charted it for them. And then we started playing the games, and they're really fun games. We got them into teams. We played games. We had them report out, and I was facilitating it, and the lawyer was just observing. And she hired 2 people, and this was like well, it's like 6 years ago. They're still with her, and they have been kicking ass. And I mean, these women are soul sisters now. You know, they've gotten, like the young paralegal got married, had a kid. The lawyer was there at the wedding. The lawyer, I mean, like on and on. There, it's like family. You know, it's really family. And it was just a great way to choose someone who was perfectly suited for the task. And I'm telling you, man, I've worked with lots of lawyers who can't keep good people. And they go into a hiring situation, they're sitting across the table, and the person's just telling them, whatever. And a lot of it's not true, a lot of it might be true, but you just don't get a sense of what the person really does, how they act, how they work. And by doing fun group interview, you can really experience that person on a deep level and know if they have the temperament that's right for your office, especially if you're creating an extraordinary office like we want to create. And it is cost effective because you're just knocking through. We knocked through 29 people. Come on, in 3 hours. I mean, so amazing for the time saving right there. Effective. You pinpoint exact hiring criteria and matching the candidate's personality style. Specific. Your top candidate takes assessments to match them to your position. It's powerful. Experiential group interviews let you observe candidates in action. It's tailored. We work with your hiring team to craft succinct and specific interview protocol to ensure that you're choosing the right candidate. Here's what you need to know for successful hiring, communicating, and delegating. So we have a little background here on personality style. And we have the implementing power hire for a job opening. It starts with the job description, which we have listed below. You post the ad, just like what I said. And there's a free online disc assessment here that they can take. Staple the results of the resume and bring it to the group interview. You have them bring in their own personality styles, which is a great way to do it. I've done it where I've I've actually done the personality style assessment in the training, but you can also do it ahead of time. Select candidates and confirm the FGI. So as people respond to the ad, review and select your top 8 candidates. Contact them briefly to go the experience, describe company mission, ask if they're willing to attend a fun group interview, request their availability, and schedule the best time for the greatest number of attendees. Yeah, the one that we did, we didn't have 8. This is probably, it's probably better to weed people out. We didn't really do that. And then contact Mark Daly, transformative training, any training company, obtain a facilitator, conduct the group interview. You can do the group interview with the facilitator. It's great. Do the post FGL, or you can do it yourself, and as a managing attorney, there's a great skill to have. And then you do the post fun group interview assessment to help you determine the performance and personality styles of the candidate and match them to the job descriptions. Narrow down the candidates and check their references. Then contact the desired candidates and conduct the post-fun group interview. Post-fun group interview protocol. Determine the wage range available with the financial planner. So you're going to talk to your money people. How much can we pay for this position? How much can we afford? Remember to assess the 3-to-1 billable hour ratio for ongoing client funding for this position. Can you afford this yet? Review the job description and tasks with the candidate to determine over which tasks they have mastery. Determine the appropriate wage relative to their experience. Offer the wage and request a 30-day trial at a lower wage during their learning of the business systems. If they refuse to perform the 30-day trial at a lower wage, do not attempt to negotiate. Do not hire the person, or if they really are the perfect fit with absolute mastery, pay them what they ask. It's a bad idea to make a person work for a wage that they do not willingly agree to. They will hold contempt for the company. All right, so that's the deal. And then the protocol, introduction, the company, and the fun group interview. We have 2 teams, collect the disc assessments and the resumes. The icebreaker, we do the human treasure hunt. The presentation is the FGI disc presentation handout for the position. And then the problem solving. These are the fun group. We have Wordles and a helium stick. And then we have thank you gifts and closing instructions. So we give out coffee mugs or Starbucks cards or something like that just to leave them, because they're pretty wrung out by the end of it. And you want to leave them on a good note like that. Here's the presentation handout, the disc. Here's the disc: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientious. Now this is when we go into the disc training, right? So at this point, it's a good idea to go ahead and watch the disc training video to know about disc, to learn disc. DISC is a very simple and memorable model made up of the four basic styles of interpersonal behavior: dominance, influencing, supporter, and conscientious. DISC. So go ahead and do the video where you're going to assess yourself on your DISC personality style, and then come back to this training piece after you've done that. Today, I'm going to teach you the DISC personality style system, which is a great tool for managers to use when you've got a lot of conflicts going on in your team, or you just want to get everyone on the same page to improve the performance on the team. So I know where you're coming from in terms of managing a team that might be having breakdowns around communication. For 20 years, I worked as an immigration lawyer. I ran my own office. I had my own team, and I had to manage everybody. And we had all different types of personality styles in a hugely stressful environment, which was very fast-paced. And we were having communication breakdowns, misunderstandings, and conflicts. And the real problem was that our clients were picking up on it, and we weren't able to give our clients the type of service and real, work that needed to be done on their cases. So it was a big breakdown, a huge impact. And I was not satisfied with that at all. So I brought in a consultant to go ahead and teach us how to improve our communication. And she showed us the DISC. And we used this DISC training and started to look at our personality styles as a lens for understanding the source of our conflicts, the source of our breakdowns. And it was incredibly powerful for us. I did the training, we all did the training together as a team. And from that training, we really did a reset on the way that we wanted to work together. And we had this solid tool to use in navigating conflict, giving one another feedback, and really appreciating one another's good work. For me as a manager, I had to own my own stuff, I had to own my challenges, and I had to really also claim my strengths. And when I was able to do that, it set a positive tone for the whole team to do the same thing. And our team really excelled, increased the performance, much better product for our clients, and gained a really powerful reputation in the community. So that's my want for you. My want for you is to teach you how to use the DISC to manage your team and how to really set an example on this team of accountability and self-awareness. And the DISC allows you to do all of this. So that's why I really love the DISC. Let's say you have a challenge with your team not meeting their goals. You've communicated the goals to the team, and you thought everyone was on the same page, and then all these obstacles and challenges just keep coming. They keep your team from meeting their goals. Maybe there's an unresolved conflict between team members that's causing this negative impact. Or maybe some team members are not taking feedback, or they're blaming one another. Or perhaps there are some misunderstandings based on different personalities or communication styles. How do we get everybody back on the same page and start to make improvements in their communication and their collaboration? So this is why we love the DISC. Me personally, I've used it on teams, and I've also seen other teams that are really resistant to it get into it and create a huge improvement in the workplace. So we love DISC. In the 1940s, Walter Clark took the theory of William Marston and developed the first DISC personality profile. The system has been modified and customized over the past 80 years to be the easiest and most widely used assessment in the workplace today. So grab a pen and paper, and we're going to show you how to do a quick, big picture DISC assessment on anybody in 2 minutes. Okay? So grab your pen, grab your paper, and make a big plus sign on the paper. You have 2 lines, a vertical and a horizontal. The vertical line stands for pace. At the top is fast pace. At the bottom is more methodical and deliberate. Now think about your pace and your natural tendency. Think about your normal rate of speech, your normal pace of decision making. Are you thoughtful, methodical? Do you do a lot of research? Do you like to review a lot of details and then make a decision? Or Do you just go with your gut, make quick decisions, and make fast judgments, and then take decisive action? You may adapt your style at work depending on what the workload is, and that's normal. What we want to do, though, is we want to determine your natural style. So try to think about your natural pace, like on the weekend, for example. So now you're going to put a dot someplace on the line. If you're like me, you'll put your dot above the line, up here. If you're like my accountant, Ken, you'll put it down here. Just don't put it in the middle because then the assessment won't work. Okay, the second line is horizontal and it stands for your focus. Is your focus more on tasks or is it more on relationship? Now, a good way to think about this is, are you naturally more trusting and accepting, which is on the right side, or more skeptical and challenging, which is on the left side? Again, your workplace environment might skew your results based on the tasks required. So even though I'm naturally more accepting, more open, my work as a facilitator often requires me to challenge workplace assumptions and ask very uncomfortable questions. And in my 20 years as an immigration lawyer, I was required to be on the task-oriented side a lot, especially going into court. Although I will say, I like to yuck it up with a judge a little bit, and I even got my relational side in as a lawyer when I was doing my task stuff. So for me, I'm going to put my dot on this far side over here to the right, on the relational side. Remember, we have some of each, right? So go ahead and put your dot on the horizontal line. So now you have two dots on your lines. Connect the dots and your lines will intersect one of the four D, I, S, or C quadrants. Ta-da! Now you have your best guess at your style. Pretty easy, huh? Well, this is a high-level overview, of course. The actual DISC management assessment gives you so much more information. It gives you details about your style and a more precise way of measuring all of your team style and how you interact with other styles. So as a manager, you can go through this process for all of your team members just by observing their pace and their focus. Now, why would you want to determine the personality style of your team? Here's why. Successful managers know that they have to be able to adapt to changing workplace environments. You have new hires coming in, you might have new systems coming down, things are changing a lot. You have to be able to adapt. If you've read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Spencer Johnson, it's a great book. This is the point of this book, is that to really thrive, you have to have the capacity to adapt quickly. And it really is like a survival thing that you need to know. So the DISC then allows you to adapt within an interpersonal work environment where communication is the main thing that you're going to be looking at. Diversity in the workplace is a given, especially through the lens of personality style. So you're going to have diversity on your team. From a manager's point of view, you want to be able to leverage this diversity to create good results on your team because you've got it. You've got diversity. This is a way for you to really maximize and actualize the team's performance based on their diversity. Managers have got to quickly and effectively guide new hires, help employees resolve conflicts, and motivate them. That requires what Patrick Lencioni, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team writer, would call the foundation of trust. You've got to have a foundation of trust in order to build the type of resiliency that it requires to have a dynamic team, which are going to be in conflict as they grow and they do more and more different types of varieties of tasks. So, research shows that managers can inspire teams to improve performance by referencing their own DISC style and openly discuss their own challenges and their own strengths. Teams who use the language of DISC quickly learn how to help one another overcome challenges. I'm telling you what my challenges are, and the natural tendency is for team members to go, oh, okay, I'm going to help you with that. That's not a challenge for me. Here, let me show you how. That's the dynamic that starts to occur. That's what we want to occur. And I can demonstrate for you how this works. So we start by looking at the 4 styles. So if your style is dominant, a D, You're fast-paced and task-oriented. You might have a tendency to focus on fast results and want things done quickly. You might challenge others' ideas quickly, and you may have a tendency to focus on what is not working so that you can fix it. If your style is influencing, like mine, you are fast-paced and relationship-oriented. You might be good with coming up with new ideas or want to support your team members to help them achieve their goals. You probably have a positive attitude for overcoming challenges, which I do. If your style is steadiness, you are methodical and relationship-focused. You tend to seek balance and harmony and are most likely uncomfortable with conflict. You really believe that things will work out in the end and you just want people to get along. If your personality style is a C, conscientious, that means you are going to be methodical and you're going to be task-oriented. You like to point out to others when things don't go as planned. You also like to take ample time and get some distance to think through and analyze a problem. You can generate options and create systems to overcome challenges, especially when they're process-oriented. So as a manager, you've got to know your style. It's really important to know your own style and be able to understand your own challenges and your own strengths and be able to talk about that in your team. This is the basic component of leadership that creates the type of team that's high performing. Now, most people are actually a combination of two styles, like a DI or an IS or an SC or a CD. So equally important is to know your opposite personality style, because you're going to naturally have a challenge talking to people who are your opposite style. It's a given. There's no way around it. So take a D manager who has an S on their team. You're going to think to yourself, why don't they get it? Why don't they get it? Same thing for an S manager who has a D on their team. And for the I and the C, same thing. Why don't they get it? You know, when I was doing that team building DISC program with my law office, my best paralegal was a C, and here I am an I. And we were having a lot of breakdowns. And she told me in the course of that training that my fast-paced kind of freaked her out a little bit, and that she would really appreciate it if I could slow down. I had no clue that I had that type of impact. I thought, hey, we'll get in there, we'll get everything going and get it all pumped up and energized. And it shut her down. So when I got that feedback, I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to adapt my style for my paralegal. So I would literally, before I would go in, I would normally just run into her room and just say a bunch of stuff. I would take a pause and I'd go, okay, Joe Ray is a C, so I'm going to slow down. Just going to slow down, take a breath, get into some Joe Ray energy and slow down and get into some details. Give her a chance to process it and let her know that I'll be available later if she wanted to talk to me more about it. And the feedback from her was that was very powerful, created a lot less stress in the work, and she got to get her work done and did a better product for me and for the clients. So that's what I mean around adapting our communication and knowing our opposite personality styles. Being able to do that type of adaptation it's within us, because we all have all parts within us. You know, there's just different contexts in your life where you're going to be more I, more D, more S, and more C, right? And those contexts are probably not at work where it's all high, fast pace and all stressful. But as a manager, this is the behavior you're going to model, because this gets the best performance out of a team. So the big takeaway for this training then is really to be able to ask the question, can I talk like that other personality style, right? That's the key. So can I talk like a C? Yes, I can. Can a D talk like an S? Yes, they can. Can an S talk like a D? Yes, they can. Take some preparation, might take some practice. There's the skill building, and that's what we do in our trainings. We build those skills. We have lists of things you say to a C, list of things that Ds like to hear, types of behaviors, actual prompts for language, all that stuff. You start to practice it, and you get good at it, because it is a capacity that we actually all have. Asking yourself the question, can I talk like that other style? That's an empowering question. And that is going to inspire your natural genius to show up and give you the answer, yes, and here's how you do it. What we've seen and why the DISC is so popular is that managers who do this really inspire improved performance on the team. It creates a collaborative environment where people are ready to come together and are really ready to take a risk to say something that might create a breakthrough in a problem or a conflict. And that's the foundation of trust that's actually built that Patrick Lencioni was talking about. That's why we really love the D. And when it's done right and it's really modeled by the managers, it can transform a work environment. And trust me, your team will catch on. It's infectious. If the manager starts to do it, it gets easier and easier and easier for the manager and for the team. The worst thing to happen is for the manager to bring this training and then not do it, because then the team gets totally beat down, like, oh my God, we did all this training and it's not even working, and it can dig even a deeper hole for you. So you have to be careful around this training. What is really helpful to use is the Wiley Publishing Company's DISC for Managers assessment. It clearly describes your strengths and challenges around time management, directing and delegating, decision making and problem solving, and motivating others of all 4 styles. It also covers how you can best manage up and work with upper management and executives to advocate, manage conflict, and get buy-in for your ideas. Most managers we work with also have their employees take the DISC assessment and have a DISC training with their whole team. That way everybody has the same tools moving forward, and it creates a common language and culture on your team quickly. Okay, so now that you've had a really good introduction to the DISC, we're going to move through the DISC part of the manual. Here's the PACE here, task-oriented, people-oriented. Here's the DISC, more information around there, DISC. And then we get to which styles for which positions. Although there is no guaranteed formula, there are certainly characteristics reflected in the personality styles that are a better match for certain positions than others. The hiring positions for CINA are outlined below, along with the management center and a recommendation for matching personality styles. Although each duty could be accomplished by various personality styles, each duty has been designated a DISC letter to best match that duty with the personality style that is the best fit. So this is key to your management. So now this is the rest of the Power Hire materials. So here's the fun interactive group thing you do. Which are the Wordles, these little word puzzles they can figure out together, and here's the answers here. And then a helium stick is also an interactive game you can look at. And then a human treasure hunt is a great icebreaker to do in the beginning. In the groups, and you put groups and they fill this thing in and talk to one another about stuff that they've done. And then we go into the attorney job duties. So this is the part of the management then where it gets really detail oriented, very, very detail oriented. Okay. And so, the way I want to work this is because of our time situation. I want to just briefly go over these job descriptions, but on your own, you're going to want to reference these job descriptions, to understand all the tasks that are really involved with a immigration law office. So we have competency in all duties described in legal assistant and office assistant. So that's right. A lawyer must be able to do every job. If you're at the top of the heap, you got to be able to go down to the bottom and do everything. And then here's an example. Consult with clients over telephone to determine nature of case and if case meets INA criteria for acceptance in 10 to 20 minutes. This is the lead conversion function, and it's an I personality style. Is the very relational and also very fast paced. So that's why that's an I. I, C, 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 D, on and on. Okay, all the different job descriptions here. The summary, the client fulfillment process is almost entirely a conscientious-based skill set, while the client contact and lead conversion duties are in alignment with an influencer skill set. In addition, dominance would function well in the results-oriented functions of drafting contracts and effectively navigating court hearings. Because the lead conversion is such an important aspect of running a law office, we recommend that a candidate have influencer dominant as a primary or backup style. A dominant and a conscientious will need support with people skills and lead conversion, while an influencer will need support from the conscientious and supporter in following through and handling details. So that's the bottom line here. And then we have our location for attorneys for low, middle, and high. Bonus income from networking efforts must show signed statement from the client regarding how referred to CINA. You give them 10 to 30% of the case. If it's a difficult case, time intensive, you give them a little bit lower. But if it's an easy case, you give them a higher bump. So that's working with lawyers then. And then we have legal assistants, right? Paralegal, legal assistants, no job duties of office assistant. Again, it drifts down, so they know that. And so we have all their tasks. The summary, the legal assistant provides mostly research-related functions that require high accuracy. In addition, they're required to interface with clients in an effective manner. The best personality style for this position is a conscientious with a backup supporter style. And then we have the Colorado salaries for that 25% task mastery. And see, here's the thing: is like this is a great way to pay people is to say, okay, how many of these things can you actually do? Okay, you can only do 25% of all these things, then we're going to start you here at this hourly rate. If you know how to do more, we'll give you more money. And if you can really kick butt and you're like a notch under attorney, you'll be making more money here because I'll be able to leverage out my tasks over to you. So that's the legal assistant. So this is such a key relationship here between attorney and legal assistant. We have office assistant. Then the office assistant must be relational and task oriented, not at either extreme. However, the office assistant must be comfortable with handling details and being interrupted, right? So the office work, administrative work, financial, QuickBooks, all the tasks here, go through those. The office assistant is usually best asked by an S or C personality style. And then we have, again, 25% mastery, 50 high. You know, these are the salary ranges for office assistant. And then file clerks. File clerks can be interns and stuff, but that's a really great position to have. People who can get in and just do some free work for you and gain some experience. And they can just, you know, work on small chunk stuff, keeping records straight, working on files. It's awesome. Okay, receptionist. So this is the first impression of a business. They need to be well-dressed, multilingual, educated, able to multitask. So if you're going to have a reception, then here's the tasks for the reception. And then the bookkeeper is a fairly generic job description that duties and responsibilities of bookkeeping vary significantly from one company to the next, depending on the factors like the size of the business. So yeah, bookkeeper, you're going to custom make the bookkeeper's tasks based on the way you want to run your company. Here's the task for the bookkeepers. And then the hiring protocol, setting up the employee file, employment position contract. Here's a sample contract. Has all the tasks on it. Standards and behavior. All business communications, whether verbal, visual, or written, whether for internal or external use, will be professional in tone and content. This may be formal or informal as appropriate to the situation. So we're creating accountability with this contract, with our hires. And this is important. You know, this is important to read through this and really get a meeting of the minds in terms of what they're signing up for. Because then you get the better performance and you can run a really awesome office. Then we're getting into first aid procedures for office assistant, legal assistant, right? Review the operations manual, 4 hours, first thing, right? So we spend 4 hours training, and then we go over the basic procedures, setting up the files, and then the agenda for the Monday morning staff meeting. Again, this is all in the management realm. Managers have to make sure that all these details are correct, and if we need to revise things, we revise these things. Agenda for Monday morning staff meetings, review point of focus for quarter, marketing, lead conversion, money, etc. Deposits for last week's, targets for cash flow, new contracts for previous week, collections activity for previous week, upcoming deadlines for current week, delegations of task, office management issues, update the operations manual, office admin issues, update operations manual. So this is our Monday morning staff meeting that we would run with great success and give everyone a chance. And we have this ongoing agenda so everyone knew what we need to cover in Monday morning staff meetings. Here's a part in the operations manual about the office space and the the actual amount of office space you need based on the kind of office you want to run. So that's another, the physical space of the office is very, very important. You want to support the operations with a good physical space. Client fulfillment. Okay, so now we're going into another area of attention. We're moving out of managing the systems and everything, into office client fulfillment. This is getting the work done. Client fulfillment includes producing and delivering on the promise made in lead generation and lead conversion. That's really it. We are executing the contract and fulfilling our responsibilities to the client as indicated by the contract. That's all we're doing. So if it's not in the contract, then we don't fulfill it. And this is where you stay above water. It's the client fulfillment tasks that start to creep in. It's called creep, and you want to be nice, you want to be liked, so you start promising to do more and more in client fulfillment without getting paid for it. And the next thing you know, you're upside down. And that's all that's happening. You're expanding the scope of the agreement unconsciously. All right. We don't want to do that. We've got to push back against that, So client fulfillment is very important. Office systems and procedures. Everything is a system. When something goes wrong, we look to the system and determine what changes must be made to the system to bring out our best work. And I restate this. CNA uses the 7 centers of business attention developed by eMyth founder Michael Gerber. There's the 7 centers: receptionist, office assistant, daily routine. Okay, so here it's all spelled out. We start with checking voicemails. Here's how to do it. How to check voicemails. It's all listed here. Entering in free telephone consults from the previous day. Checking your emails for free telephone consults that come in after business hours need to be logged on the phone line in the Internet FTC tasks. So this is the how to do all the little things. Checking cabinets for payments. There'll be times when a client comes in to pay after you leave, or needs assessment that happen later in the day. The attorney will lock the money in a cabinet. It should be checked every day, and the money applied to the client in QuickBooks. And this would totally happen. We'd have late night clients coming in, tons of cash coming in, all small bills, well worn, people bringing checks in. And so we had a place to do that and keep that money going. So the office assistant templates. These are the templates that they developed. And again, my office staff developed all this stuff. They took the screen captures for this. These were the systems that they built up, and we published them, and we just kept going with it. Phone log template. Let's make a phone log here. The phone log should be opened on your desktop all day long. That way you can type the information as you're speaking on the phone, save it at the end of the day, and start a new one the next day. Such a great system here. Timesheet template. Okay, employee timesheet. Keeping track of our hours. New clients by month report. This template is a report that Mark implemented for him and Ken to be able to view new contracts by the month and to get a more accurate view of the firm's financial review. There's a list of that. Client visits. Okay, telephone calls. How to do a telephone call. Checking message. Telephone protocols. Telephone conversation with clients, guidelines, Way to control the conversations by asking questions. Those are more communication models in here. Making a call to the client right at the beginning time in the subject area. We use these, memos, whole standard formula for making phone calls. Make your calendar reminders for agreements and promises. Make your memos to other departments. Write the entire time spent on your time log or stop your timer. Telephone conversations with non-clients, professional or service provider. We also hold accountability for those guys. Now here's the pre-free telephone consultation, pre-FTC. So this is where the staff is going to be talking to immigration clients. And then the lead conversion, free telephone consultation. Here's where the lawyer comes in and does a lead conversion on this. Calls from non-clients, scheduling the needs assessment and cancellation policy. Calls from clients, client fulfillment. Where when we're regularly talking with clients, we have a protocol for doing that. So we can rely that every conversation we have from a client is going to go the same way. Receiving requests for status updates for clients. Okay. This is the common thing. Every client wants status updates. So we need to know how to provide them with that. Scheduling appointments, of course. We need to know how to do that. A new client setup. So we have a criteria. And again, this is a paper folder that's going on here, but we have a standardized way of creating an entry for a client, starting with the case number. And then we have case codes, creating the physical file, description of the file section. We use these multi-foldered files. And then on the inside we do a file sheet checklist. Here's an example of, oh, here we go. Yeah, this is setting up a case in Outlook. Right, so there's the name, last, subject, and there's a little table in here. And then closing a case. Close a case. I love that. The viability of CINA requires cases to be closed quickly. That's really true. You cannot having cases open on the floor increases the cost of servicing those cases and reduces profit. Absolutely. Closing them out. A lot of lawyers never close and finish cases. Sometimes it's risky because, you know, I'm not ready to cut them off. You've got to cut them off. You've got to cut them off. You've got to close your cases. Okay, Outlook for CINA. So now Outlook for CINA, this is a big deal because this is the computer system that's going to really be the heart and soul. Well, actually, it's the lifeblood, you know, along with your money system, is the time spent on the matter system, tracking appointments, tracking the client fulfillment. There's a lot of different programs you can use with databases and form builders, you know, timers built into them. I remember I used Amicus for a while, Abacus. Well, there was Immigrant Pro, time slips with that one. Different programs. I keep using Outlook for two reasons mainly. One, it's ubiquitous. The Microsoft interface, people know Word and people know Excel. The Outlook is a similar look, a similar feel, so people who are working with Microsoft can easily learn it. Also, it's a Microsoft system, so people can work on it. You can get all kinds of people who know Outlook and Microsoft to help you. So that it's cheaper that way too. That's one thing. The other thing, though, is also the encryption, because with Outlook, when you're using a 365 Outlook system, you can have full encryption on all your emails and all your data in Outlook. And it's HIPAA compliant encryption. So even if you're saving stuff on the cloud, it's all encrypted. And this is a level of security for you and your office for liability and safety that I really like for Outlook. So how do we use Outlook? Because it's a fully integrated communication thing, you have emails, right? When you have your inbox here, you have a calendar, all right? And then you have a contacts. So you can build a contact for every person. And then you have tasks. How we monitor the progress of the case, time spent on each task. And here's how to create a task. So you have your phone log that's up, and then you're going into Outlook and you're creating these tables like this. And as you do a task, you put the date in, you put who does it, you put the whatever. So it can be a cut from an email. You can cut and paste an email content in here if it's an important email, and then just put a follow-up date here and the time spent on the matter. And so this is an ongoing way of tracking. And then you've got your name. You can search the database by names. You can have dates for the next due date here. You can click on it. You can put a priority on here. You can have a status. This says not started. It should be started. So there's an error there. But of course, it's not about being perfect. It's about doing it good enough. You can categorize things into different practice areas. Family, business, detention and removal. So those types of things. Recurrences, you can put in recurring calendar reminders to come up on stuff. And so we love Outlook, and this is how a task would actually work. Then you have your list of clients then in your tasks. Your stuff, and you click on any one of them and you open up and you see the date, the task performed. You get right up to speed with what's going on the clients from this database, right? So simple. And we actually use the categories to say who was in charge of the case, who was going to be doing the next piece. So many ways to do this. And then when you close a case, you close it, but you keep the database online. I mean, you save the database, so you always have access to this information. But when you close a case, it's not on this list anymore. So Monday morning meeting, then we open this thing up and we just go through it, and we go. It's so easy to track. Are we? What's behind the deadline? What's current? What's coming up? So it's a wonderful software program. So creating a task in Task Manager on Outlook. So we just, it's just the basic nuts and bolts of putting together the contact managers. Because, that's the thing. You have the task, but you have contact managers. You want to have names, addresses, telephone numbers, all the members of the family. Spend the time to build that database. You'll be so grateful because later on you can do searches in those database in the contact managers and go right to all the information. You don't want to spend time looking for people's phone numbers, emails, addresses, and you don't want to have telephone numbers be out of touch either. And what's cool about the contact manager, what I really love about Business Contact Manager, is that within the task here, right, you're going to be, it's like this, but what happens is that you can actually take emails as they come in and you can assign them to the Business Contact Manager. And then what that does then is that when you go into a client through Business Contact Manager, you see all the emails from that email address automatically populate into the contact manager. So when you get really big, that's a great way to go. It's a great way to go. We have everything completely centralized around a business contact, all email information. And then you go over to the task and find out where they're going. How to scan a document, name it properly in the client's computer file with a Fujitsu Scan Snap. This is the type of stuff that we're doing. We're talking about small chunk stuff, sending letters in mail, clients or other case-related correspondence, receiving mail. Stamps.com instructions for printing postage. I always thought stamps.com was like a scam or whatever, but my office staff really liked it. And I said, okay, let's just use stamps.com then. Let's just do it. So we did. And so it helped them out a lot. And they got really good at mailing stuff. And so office supplies, here's all office supplies that we need. Sample letters, researching cases, emails, and linking. Again, linking emails into databases. Receiving emails, inquiry from our website. What do we do? Client treatment. Drafting an affidavit. What are we doing on an affidavit when we draft them? Very common thing with paralegals really chime in on this. USCIS website. How to look at the website. How to set up alerts. How to enter and keep track of alerts through the website. That's a really great thing to do. Other important websites to know. And then we have needs assessment. Here's the whole needs assessment piece. So the special 1-hour telephone Skype needs assessment consultation. This is the information from our website, but it's also our protocols for doing that. And then we come to the CINA fee setting guide. Okay, so now we're getting into the very exciting realm of fee setting. Yes, we have a fee setting system. Yes, it's part of our management system. Attorneys are supposed to set fees in a systematic way so that we have the best result, just like everything else. All right. So what we do then is we give a disclaimer, because we need to be ethical in the presentation of this information. So it's very, very unethical for attorneys to get together and decide what to charge the public. I remember this happening when 245I was sunsetting and people were coming in, diving for filing labor certs and all these different petitions to get people grandfathered in. Some lawyers were talking with other lawyers. We got calls, said, "What are you guys charging? Well, how much to charge?" Really unethical behavior. I never participated in that because I don't believe in that. I still don't believe in that. You do not want to create a market condition that's non-competitive in the legal field. And so it was really it was like a no-brainer that I did not participate in those conversations with those people because my heart and soul, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in creating market advantage that way and, colluding against the public in that way. So that was a non-starter. Okay, so and it happens, and so you definitely clearly do not want to participate and engage in that. But then people freak out about it. It's like we can never talk about fees. That's not really true. We are duty bound to set reasonable fees. So how do we set reasonable fees? That's a valid conversation piece for us to have as lawyers practicing law. How do we set reasonable fees? How can we keep track? How can we be accountable? How can we have the work reflect the fees and vice versa? It's in that spirit then that I'm sharing you this fee setting guide because it really gives you the most flexibility for setting fees spontaneously. You can have this fee setting guide on your table and then you can give consistent fees and you can take in relevant issues that pop up in the case and charge more based on the issues rather than some conversation you're having in your ALA group around how much you're getting for a labor cert nowadays. You see the difference? So this system's approach to setting fees is clean, it's good, and it serves. All right. But here's the key: is you got to know your hourly rate. So any hourly rate will do, because you're just going through the amount of time that it takes to do each task, multiplying it by your hourly rate, and there's the fee. And you have some add-ons, and I'll show you how to do that. But you got to know what your hourly rate is. So my hourly rate right now, it's usually $250. It goes to $300 sometimes. You know, I like to have an hourly rate that's not shocking, like $400. I think is a shocking hourly rate for immigrants. And you know what? If I'm making $250 an hour and I'm working part-time, oh my gosh, that's plenty of money. I mean, that will definitely fund me. Now, and if every lawyer's doing that, you got a kick-ass organization going. So here's how the fee setting guide works anyway. Adjustment of status I-130, I-129F. This is the offer here. This is the practice. The tasks are listed here, and these are right out of the contracts, right? So these are the tasks that we're having the contract, things you're doing, right? And the filing fees here. I want to always update this. And then the legal services here. Yeah, basic 35, difficult add 500, criminal 500 to 750, right? So what I've done is I've taken all these tasks, I have averaged the time, and I've come up with this basic fee. Difficult is for difficult cases I just add 500, and then if there's a criminal issue it's 500 to 750, and here's the extra work you do around that, right? And then if there's less evidence of the good faith marriage, I add 650 to prepare the personal statements of immigrant and spouse, like go into their statements. So that's an extra piece. If we have a joint sponsor, I add 500 for the affidavit of support, the extra work. If it's 245I, I was adding 500. Don't see a lot of those anymore. Expedite request is 350. Rush service, if they will need it less than 2 weeks, I give them 10% up, and in less than 1 week, 30%. This is important to talk about rush service, because if they fail to meet a deadline and they bring their stuff in late, my contract says that I can actually increase the fee by this amount to accommodate me. So again, this is how you keep from going upside down, and you call your clients out, and you hold a boundary around it. They can be loving. You can say, I won't do it this time, but just know it's a contract. Next time you're going to have to pay a rush fee, whatever. It just becomes part of the conversation. Children, $22.50 per child plus filing fees, and then the CSPA is $500. Review eligibility for AOS after Child Status Protection Act, and doing the Child Status Protection Act piece of work here. Immigrant visa processing, consular processing. So here's the tasks on that. It's a little bit more expensive to do that than because there's more steps involved. So criminal, less evidence of good faith marriage, same kind of things. Here's the CP with a 601 waiver, consular process with a 601 waiver. It's 10 grand, a difficult add 1,000, criminal 750, 1,000. These are all the steps that are covered in this. So again, it's like when you're sitting and you're across the desk from the waiver dude, and you're talking about all the things that he wants or she wants, you're keeping track of it, because you got to keep time, and you got to track the effort that's going to be into it. And if you got a lot of stuff that's outside of our normal scope, you need to know that, okay, it's going to be more than 10 grand. It's going to be $1,000 more at least, Try to get some sense about what the time is. There's criminal stuff, joint sponsor, all that stuff. Cancellation of removal, 13.5, I-751, 2,500. The FOIAs, attorney file review, I-90, fiancé visas, the N648, the VAWA. Here's a VAWA case, 6 grand. NATS, 1,500 for a basic. Post-conviction relief. Yeah, that post-conviction is like usually hourly rate stuff. Asylum, again, it's so hard. There's such a range of difficulty in asylum cases. Literally, you could have an asylum case where there's just one document. Okay, then we get into the preparation of forms. And so the training on preparing forms, We have a YouTube video as a lead generation channel. There's step-by-step videos on how to prepare most forms for family-based immigration, some forms for employment-based, and not much on removal work. This is a great place to start for training your staff. They include K-1, immigrant visas and admissibility, criminal issues, and naturalization. So those are videos that I have on YouTube that are great for training staff on. And so you're free to use those too, because those are free. And if you prepare your own, it's great too, because you can do that, leverage that whole knowledge base that you have over to lead generation. Okay, so now we look at the next section here, which is money. Money system, really important. Money is like the lifeblood. It's air. A company needs air to breathe. Money is that air. If you cut off money, you suffocate. If it's always on short supply, you're constantly winded and worn out and ragged, right? So money, you want to have nice, deep, accurate, conscious relationships with money that are 100% accountable. Money for me is accountability. It's accountability, and it takes away a lot of the emotion around money. When I think about it just as a bookkeeping and financial system, it's just making sure that the columns are right, and with that kind of a commitment to the money system, then I can have difficult conversations about what to spend and what not to spend on, how to expand, how to fund, how to invest, coming from this neutral place. So that's what I'm going to recommend here with this part of the operations manual, because we use a money system and anyone can come in and plug it in. And because we have a company where there's such a high level of emotional intelligence, relationality, truth telling, integrity is really high. So we can have people come in and run this money system with integrity, and it all works. We start with 10 cash flow rules. Never run out of cash. Cash is king. Know the cash balance right now. Do today's work today. Either you do the work or have someone else do it. Don't manage from the bank balance. Know what you expect the cash balance to be 6 months from now. Cash flow problems can be seen in advance. You absolutely, positively must have cash flow projections. 10. Eliminate your cash flow worries so you are free to do what you do best. Grow your business and make more money. The 11th one is don't practice on borrowed money. So there's no need to practice on borrowed money because you can scale things up as they come. You can scale it up as you come. Even if you got another job right now, don't practice on borrowed money. You want to make an investment for sure. You want to invest. But starting up is one thing. Practicing on borrowed money is something totally else, right? Getting a loan to invest and do a startup, capitalizing in a company, that's no big deal. It's practicing, always having to use borrowed money. That's what we're talking about here. 10 plus 1. So here's a look at our financial system that we used. Financial process and data flow. So we just have the whole money system. The client contract, enter an invoice, receive the payment, manage accounts receivables, follow up on past due accounts, enter and make the deposits, revise the due date and notify attorney on payments, turn over to collections, bad debt and write-off. So this is the life cycle of an account, right? Hopefully it doesn't go to bad debt and write-off, but I've written off plenty in my time. But the question for you is how much are you writing off? That's important. So here's our financial process and data flow map. Again, another little way for people to understand our money system. And this is the description here. This is the visual, so people can understand it. Here's QuickBooks, how to create a new account in QuickBooks. Here's the way we like to set up QuickBooks. There's so many different ways to set up QuickBooks. It's crazy. It's very customizable. So these are the guidelines that you want to have in place for setting up your QuickBooks, especially if you're doing payment plans. So payment plans are great. I do payment plans and I use QuickBooks to manage them. It allows clients to get in cheap. And then we have our weekly procedures for QuickBooks. And then we have our due date codes, 888 and 999. For invoices undergoing collection efforts or legal action, just toss them into 888. For invoices deemed uncollectible and awaiting write-off code, toss them into the date as 999. This way the date keeps them out of your current record of clients that are really paying or who are working their payment plan. But you put the invoice dated at this date and it'll all clump together and be out of the weeds. Yeah, a date occurring in the future agreed upon by the client at 888 or 999. Those are the invoice dates. So that's just a way you work QuickBooks. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Printing checks from QuickBooks. So the staff put together this tutorial here, instructions on how to print checks. That's part of our money system. All doing it the same way. Here's running a credit card through SecureNet, our payment portal. So that's all spelled out. And then we have our policies regarding accounts receivables and collections. All right. And so that's it's a good system for you to look at. You can just read all through this. The meetings are actually even scheduled out on this and figured out. So that's how the money system works. Read the money system and use this to support you. Now the next piece is around the marketing system. So the marketing system is a big project that you want to do, and you want to set aside some time to go through it all the way. We anticipate it's going to take about 4 hours for you to go through this. And the way we want you to do it is we want you to go through the operations manual just page after page after page, because everything's going to build on each other. And then the marketing data that you collect will guide you in the next phase, which would be the lead generation. So the two work very closely together. And so we're going to go do both of those right now, the marketing and the lead generation. So let's get clear about marketing. What is it? Marketing is a research and analysis of your customers and the formulations of strategies and tactics that will shape your business processes. So research and analysis, this is what marketing is. So we're going to do some research now. We're going to analyze our research. You cannot successfully serve your clients if you do not know them. Client demographics can change quickly with the introduction of new immigration laws. For this reason, we adhere to a structured approach to identifying, researching, and analyzing our customers' demographic and psychographic identity, and include the entire team in this endeavor. So this is how we approach marketing. This is how I want you to approach marketing. So you can read this about gathering intelligence and how we're always on alert to get information about our clients, especially from our clients. So you can read those, and then when we're researching, the first part is to look at our market size and our market share. All right. So market size, you can use census data for your area, and it'll break down. So here's how you can determine the market size and market share. You can go to the American Immigration Council, and you can research your local immigrant community statistics. Here, the Denver immigrant community was what I researched, and it was estimated to be 537,066, or 10% of the population as of 2015. In 2016, 508,000 people in Colorado, 9.4% of the state's population, were native-born Americans who had at least one immigrant parent. So you can see then you have 10% of this, and then 9.4. So this is a almost 20% of the population have immigration close in their family. It talks about the top origins, and then a 0.5 conversion rate in this Denver market with an average case value of $3,500 will produce $938,000 of revenue, almost $1 million with that. So this is what we're talking about for knowing the numbers. Nationwide, demand for our low-cost family-based services has been steady for some time, and we expect that this will continue, if not accelerate, over the next several years. The USCIS processed over 1 million permanent residency applications a year on average for the last 10 years. And during 2005, DHS granted a total of more than 181 million non-immigrant admissions to the United States. So if you're going to take a piece of this action, the 1 million green card applications, you know that that's happening there, and that is a market share. So we can do the research on that. I would say use the Denver numbers for sure. Okay, so then the next thing is very important. This is your product and market table. So it looks like this, and here's your market. And you have all the market characteristics across the top for different segments of the people that you serve. And then you have your products down here, all the products that you provide. And you basically just go down here and you go down and say, would they like this? Would they, how much are they wanting this? So single white U.S. citizen men under 40 would want K1s, 1 out of 5, a 5, they'd be a 5. Y130 at the embassy, a lot of times they're doing it, but it's lower, 2, adjustment of status, 2, because they're single, right? Detention and removal, not so much. The single dudes really want the 5, the K1. But when you go to this ethnic group of married white U.S. citizen men under 40, all of a sudden, okay, K1, you don't want that, a fiance, because you're married now. I-130 at the embassy, married Latino. This is not white. Hold on. Married white. Yeah, there we go. I-130 at the embassy, 5. This is a big one for the whites. For the Latinos, not so much. But for the white boys, yeah. And then adjustment of status is big. 751 is big. So this is what the different types of market product grid is going to look like. And here's how you do it. You list the areas of immigration law you want to pursue down the first column, and then the types of clients you want to target at the top row. Use gender, ethnic, economic, education, or marital status indicators. If you need more room, make a bigger table, series of tables. This is time to create a complex model that will be simplified later. So depending on how much time you want to spend on this, you can go to a whole lot of market slices. And the more the merrier, especially if you live in a place where there's a lot of ethnic groups. I have white and Latino here, but there's not African American, there's not Asian immigrants, African immigrants, it's just Latino, but that's what in Colorado and Tennessee, actually I had some Arab immigrants as well, and Indian, Hindu, but anyway, that was I didn't go to that deep. I didn't go that deep with the research. I just took it this way. And so this is a grid that you're going to build in this process. And then we have this, demographic assumptions for the market product nexus. So we take our market product nexus from the previous page. And if the target market is a person, if the target market is an organization, right? Then we have this first one, single white U.S. citizen men under 40. Let's start with that. Single white U.S. citizen men under 40. If the target market is a person, you get the age, gender, occupation, income, employment status, education, marital status, family status, location, race, ethnicity, physical characteristics. Demographic assumptions means you are going to make just an assumption about what this means more specifically. And if it's a target market, it's an organization, get a little more specific here. But that doesn't fit in the box, right? So you need to bring it down here and fill it out. So then we do the market research questionnaire regarding demographics. Okay. We're gathering important information to help us better serve our customers and prospective customers. Would you help by answering a few questions about yourself? Your answers will be confidential. You won't be contacted by anyone as a result of giving us this information. So this research questionnaire can be used at the very beginning when they first contact us in the pre-free telephone consultation, or when we are going into the contract, or when we're setting up the file. When we're setting up the file, for sure you want to do this. But if people don't come in, we don't get all that information from them because they become clients. It's nice to get this on the front end. Okay. Now, psychographic assumptions for the market product nexus. We are in the realm of psychology, so create an open and relaxed mental attitude for doing this work. Take the demographic information from the market research questionnaire and any other demographic information sheets and visualize a person with those characteristics. This is all the rage now in marketing. It's called creating an avatar. You may have heard of that. This is old school, man. This has been going on for ages. Same stuff. Like Sherlock Holmes. Notice small things. Now write a description of what it is like to be inside the mind of this ideal customer. Notice how they think, how they perceive the world and themselves, and what drives their behavior. After completing this worksheet, take this information out to the environment to get more feedback and information, and then revise the information. Provide this information to your team designing your lead generation materials. So get feedback on this out to the environment, your office staff, friends, family, people who know the demographic section that you're riffing on. Get feedback. See, make sure this is as accurate as it possibly can be, and then start designing your lead generation materials for that. So you take the name of the target market segment and you're going to go through all of these questions. This is a good guide. You have your self-perceptions, external values, drives, emotional associations, gratification modes. Find the gratification mode and put the dominant mode here. Purchase preference, again, value, performance. Find the dominant mode, put that down in there. And then your positioning strategy, and it's referenced in the strategic objective. It's, as you go up and look at our strategic objective, you'll see the positioning strategy. It's write a brief narrative, 5 sentences or less, describing your law office's positioning strategy to a person who characterizes the overall psychographic values, perceptions, drives, and dominant modes for this market segment. Using information from the above worksheet, describe how you will compete, what you will provide, how your services will look and function. This is what you're doing right here for the positioning strategy. You may develop separate strategies for each market product nexus that will function as excellent website content. Okay. Then you have your unique selling proposition, make your little USP here, and then a competitive analysis information here. Competitor name, date evaluated, website URL, lead generation channels, target market, positioning strategy, strengths, weaknesses, future trends. What can you learn and improve upon to gain more market share? So this competitive analysis information right here is gold. It is gold. Do it early. Do it early and get this stuff, because you're going to want it. You'll be entering the market right where everyone else is right now. You have to analyze it, even if it seems overwhelming, like, oh my God, that's a huge firm. You know, go for it. Go there. Know who your competition is, and make sure you understand how this information is held. So look on other people's websites to see if their positioning strategy and USP is even there, if they even have one. So that is the marketing piece. And you might want to get some coaching. You might want to fill out your marketing sheet here and then come to me. And this is one thing really great to do in the support, doing the coaching afterwards, is to go over your marketing. Because it's really complex, and I've been doing it a lot, so I can bring a lot of good value to you for that. Okay, so we're moving into lead generation. So a good distinction here, lead generation is creating awareness in your target markets and attracting customers to your products and services. Right? So whereas marketing is strategy, lead generation is activity. You select channels and activities to spread your message, which is sourced from your marketing system. The end result is to generate a lead, to inspire a person to take action and contact you for immigration lawyer services. You cannot convert a lead into a client without a solid lead generation system, and your system must source intelligence from your marketing work. So here's the big distinction, is that you spend a lot more money on lead generation. It's not marketing, it's lead generation. Marketing is done before the lead generation. And lead generation it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, it's really complex, it takes a lot of energy. But what's good is that you can do a lot of it on the front end, and then you can have it ride for a while. But my want for you is to really create a kick-ass lead generation system from the beginning. You just did your marketing. Figure out your lead generation system that you want, and this will do it. If you walk through this, you will be so much more clear about what you want to spend your money on and how much you want to spend on driving yourself leads. Okay, so we start with the message. Your lead generation message must be 100% congruent with your leadership values and incorporate your company story, primary aim, and personal and professional mission statement. So the company story is in this, it's on the page right after the strategic objective, primary aim, and personal professional mission statement. Must feel and be relevant to the prospective customer. Must inform them on how your immigration law services can solve their problems. Create a sense of trust in your ability to deliver on your promise. Distinguish you from your competition. Many lawyers believe they need to talk about themselves to convince the prospective client that they have the ethics, skills, staff, and knowledge to give them high value. However, this approach is not enough because it ignores needs, wants, and desires of your clients and fails to motivate them to take action. Lawyers who talk about themselves, I'm so great, I've done this, I've done that, I've won this, I've won that. It's one way to do it, but the better way is to go, if you're injured, here's your settlement, right? That gets people picking up the phone. Talking about you, talking about real clients, talking about stuff that's happening in the community. So they don't care who the lawyer is. If I can get like $1 million settlement like that, I'm going to call you. So that's why. At this point, you should have the message to your clients defined and ready to place into your lead generation channels. Remember that your company story will be important. So you have an example of my company story here, right? And you can see the strategic objective it has all these components to it. You just cut and paste, and then your personal and professional mission statement. Look at that again and know why it is you're doing it, right? Because this is going to inform your message. And a message, it's different. There's different links. There's different types of it, depending on who you're talking to. That's why we're calling it, in a nebulous way, the message, because you make it bigger for certain conversations and presentations, and you make it shorter for advertising and certain types of squeeze pages and websites. Okay, the channels. Okay, lead generation channels are the different types of ways that you bring your message out. Some of the terms, you have to talk about a reach. You want to know about market coverage, the cost, obviously, frequency and exposure, market alignment, company alignment, and the impact. Channel selection and strategy worksheet. So here's your choices of all the channels that you may want to use. And so this is, you can go through this and check it out. Now, the most powerful ones that we use, of course, are down here, but you're going to choose yours, and here's the list of all the ones that are available. So you can determine the strategy for implementing the lead generation channel. You choose the channel, then we go into the strategy. Create specific results and implementation steps you wish to obtain with each lead generation piece within each channel. Attach the answers to this sheet. So you list the favorable impressions to be obtained. You list the action steps for the prospective customer to take. You're going to, as easy, make it risk-free, make it inexpensive. You find out what will be the constraints for the PC to take the action, right? What will be the opportunities for the PC to take this action? What will be the surrounding images and messages? What is the logic of the piece? What should they do? Why should they do what you're asking them to do? What are the words and images that will explicitly and implicitly support the logic? What other sources will support this logic? Testimonials, associations, credibility support. What will be the essential information and format constraints? How many words will be allowed to convey the message? How will the key points be emphasized in the message by formatting or in other ways? How will you pre-qualify the lead to avoid unnecessary bad leads? What brand names or images must be included in the piece? So these are really great. If you're working with someone, you're going to want to have this information ready to have those conversations with web designers, with squeeze page designers, with whatever vendor you work with to do any of these things. You're going to need to know this stuff when you start that conversation. Strategy for implementing the lead generation channel. Come up with a strategy. Okay, return on investment. So you must begin with a budget. So there's your budget here, and talks about understanding how much each lead costs. And so there's a way of understanding your target market, the lead channel, cost of each placement, reach, cost, coverage. Great way to understand and be conscious of your return on investment. Some of it is going to be money you absolutely throw away, and that's to be expected. But you want to track that, and you want to course correct so you don't keep doing that. You just learn as you go, but this keeps you accountable. All right. Some of the channels are not going to work. Now let's or they won't be worth it. You know, they might work a little bit, but some of them are just too much work or they're too expensive. Um, so now we're going to look about different channels here. High-end value in open-hand networking. This is going into networking and my experience on that. How to do that. Internet advertising and SEO. I got a couple tips on that. YouTube and social media. Some tips on that. Print media. Here's an article that was written about me when I moved to Nashville in print media, and I featured that. I got quotes from that. That was great. And then referrals. Getting referrals. Here's some ideas on referrals as a lead generation. And then information from other attorneys. You got to be careful getting referrals from other attorneys for sure. And so that's it. That is the lead generation program here. So I'll show you my main lead generation program here, which is my website. All right. So my website, then I've got 10 minutes of free legal help. It's a clear call to action. All right. And then I have my psychographics. I use a retro thing. I think that having government agency looking immigration is a good association for people who are on the inside and know how to work the system. So that's why this background is legalistic and the font is legalistic. And there's the Statue of Liberty torch, which is iconic, right? So I have the call, the number, and then a calendar where people can schedule stuff right directly to me. And then the website is organized in a way where I give the overview of the firm, first person, telling a story, right? It's a story, it's easy, and storytelling. And then in each of the practice areas, we break down stuff. And this is all SEO'd for search terms. And we are using web pages that are showing the pictures of the people that do this. So here's a business intercompany transfer, an L1, okay, as opposed to political asylum, right? A political asylum page, right? The fiancé visas page. Here we are, you know. The immigration removal defense page, right? This is court. This is serious, all right? Citizenship and naturalization page. Look at that one. Yeah, I love that one. The 601 waiver. This is for people who are really stressed out. They need a waiver. They're not going to be able to come back in. The 212 waiver is another one where if you don't get the waiver, you don't get to come back in. You know, investor visas. Here we are. They're the investors, right? Delayed cases. You know, like what the heck. So there's internal consistency. You can see the marketing images that are happening here. And each one of these has, I tell stories, and I do provide actual contract scope of services on here. This is amazing. People love this stuff. This is a great way to convert, pre-convert leads. When they read this stuff and they call you, they know that you have great checklists and you know what you're talking about. So this is a great way to establish your excellence in the field. And that's what you want a website to do. You want it to really confirm that you're significant and that you're legit, right? So we have our reviews, really great reviews. We compile reviews from all over the place. Immigration law resources and forms, right? So here's the immigration fees. We have hyperlinks to all the different forms and the contact us. We have a blog page as well. And here's the contact form, and here's our ways of contacting us. We have offices all over Denver, so it's great. So then that's the lead generation channel for the website. Now Google searches then is another lead generation channel. So if I go immigration attorney lawyer Denver, right? You're going to see our SEO work. Now we haven't prioritized SEO in a while, and it shows because we're not on the first page. We're not on the first page. We're on the second page of Google. And so, you know, I guess what do you say? Shit happens, right? You can't hold everything up all the time. Let's see, where's my... I was on the second page. Maybe I'm not even on the second page anymore. My God, have I dropped to the third page? Here it is. No, that's Chan Immigration. Here it is, second page, Immigration Visa Attorneys. I just overlooked it, sorry. So I'm on the second page, and on the map then, you have a map, a business listing, which is actually on the map. So here's the business listings, and you want to get your map, little pokey thing, and your business listing done. And so I'm on the second page of this as well. So we go to the second page, and then you'll see it's Immigration Visa Attorneys right here. And when you click on that, you have this other information here. There's some pictures from the website, and our reviews show up here. And this is great because these reviews, you want to make sure your clients give you good reviews. These have such power on immigration search. I mean, the fact that this website here has this review is a powerful driver of SEO and relevance when you're when they're searching. So beyond like Immigration Lawyer Denver, if they go the best immigration lawyer or whatever, then that helps with those searches as well. We're back in with our lead conversion. That's, so, the other thing I want to talk about is our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, you can see our channel here. Yeah, Mark Daly Immigration Videos. And here's all the videos. I've got 3,441 subscribers. Online forms for Visa I-130 video, Part 6, USCIS. Let's just look at this one. There's my Camtasia. I'm doing a screen capture.
Permanent resident. Okay, well, we're not working with permanent residents on this. What documents do you need to show? What documents do you need to prove
That's
family
all it is.
relationship?
So,
okay, now this one we definitely want to drill down in
comments
on
here, and these are great because these can also be used as training videos for your staff. You show them how to do the I-130. And this is the funnel that I've built, is showing the public how to do these forms and creating goodwill in the community. And then when they can't finish the form, they go, oh man, I need help. And they're starting in a lead generation activity. I mean, this is a lead generation activity that creates a conversion here because they call me. And so I get this great opportunity to do a lead conversion from these videos that are sitting here. So this is another way of doing it, and it's worked very, very well for me. I have over 1 million views on this channel. Okay, so we're going to go into lead conversion now. The lead conversion piece encompasses sales and enrollment of customers and clients into your services. It's the conversion of leads into buyers. It includes checking telephone messages and emails, free telephone consultation, scheduling needs assessments, fee setting guide, contracts and addendums, setting up contacts, accounts, and files, scheduling the first set of promises. So this is our lead conversion, going from a lead into the first set of promises of our client. We go into client fulfillment right after this. So much of this information has been covered above. The key documents for the lead conversion process are the pre-FTC intake form, free telephone consultation intake form, checklists and questionnaires, our fee setting guide, and the contract. And all of these documents are actually in your thumb drive that are supporting you in this program. So I want to show them to you though. So we have, where is it? Our here it is, free telephone consultation intake form. So a receptionist or anyone who's a non-lawyer uses this. They call in, they say, hey, I hear there's a free telephone consultation. I just saw it on the website. Sure, let me get your information. You can have an answering service. Read this form, right? So you find out, here's the script of the form, and then the closing information. Assure them that the attorney will call as soon as he can. So that's the first one, right? And then we go to the free telephone consultation. Now this one is done by the attorney. This is the thing they've called. They've got a free telephone consultation with an attorney. So here we go. Here's a script. Free telephone consultation. It's confidential. I will quickly gather your personal immigration information to understand what kind of legal services you need. This will only take 2 minutes. Then you can tell me your story. I will answer some of your basic questions ever I get your information, but we avoid giving you advice or quoting fees before researching current legal procedures. We can schedule a needs assessment to answer all of your questions in detail and provide you with a firm price for our services. The fee for that service is $250. This conversation is confidential. Can you agree to that? If they launch in, right then and just say, I just have one question, you flag them because they're not following you. You've just given them clear instructions on how this thing's going to go, and they start telling their story. Well, just take them notice that you're going to have to charge extra because they're not going to follow directions. You know it right from the get-go. Get their name, address, email address. Just fill this thing out. Referral. Interested in receiving a cost estimate, because we provide limited and full representation as well as document review, provide a 5% discount for payment up front and full, make payment arrangements, start talking about money. That's good. And then they're going to tell their stories, the facts of the case, and you're going to indicate the types of services needed and make sure you obtain info as follows. So if they say, I'm in removal proceedings, you come over here, you make sure you talk about detention, bond, crimes, are the records available, is he married, kids, income, what country is he from, when's his trial date. So these are little issue spotters for each one of the fields that you're going to be working in immigration. And then the final is to make sure you've got everything. You've talked about fees. Is he requesting them? Do you need to send that out? And are you going to do a needs assessment? Do you want to give them processing time estimates, preparation time estimate, maybe a rush service, caseload scheduling? You want to mention that. Attorney fee range, you might want to talk about that. Send proposal for fees via email, fax, or priority mail, and send worksheet and checklist, email, fax, or priority mail. So these are just a request for what he's wanting, what they're wanting, and making sure you don't drop any balls. Little mini checklist there. I love this. I love this list. Okay, and then we go to the intake forms and the checklist. So we always send a checklist then to their email before a needs assessment, assuming that they want us to do the needs assessment. We can do it before this. We can do it after the free telephone consultation. That's what I like to do. I like to say, here's a checklist and some questionnaires. If you want us to help you, let us know. Send the stuff back to us, and we can schedule it with a $50 scheduling fee. But here's a checklist, and you build these checklists off of, the research that you do on the USCIS for each one of the practice areas. So you're doing the research, and you just build the checklists off of those forms and the information websites from the agencies. But here's some good ones. These are good ones, And all my practice areas have really good checklists and letters, sample letters that I send out, and that's basically it with the checklist. Here's the fiancé visa questionnaire, and so this goes deep because this gives all the information that you need to fill out a DS-260 for an embassy, which is really one of the most complicated applications there are. You can definitely use this for green cards, immigrant visas, or fiancé visas. So that's really great. And then they fill that out. And then you also pin them down. You have them pinned down, admitting and talking about where they were at some point. And then when you go into the interview, you do the needs assessment, and you have your fee setting guide. We already covered that. And then you go into your contract. And here's a standard contract. And you read it to them. Read them the contract. I always do this to get clear. And you always make sure number 9 is read. Always. We will curate your file from this date forward, meaning we will continue to perform services relating to organizing, storing, and maintaining your information and case details to be made available to you upon request. We'll answer correspondence from immigration agencies and field telephone calls and emails for you as your attorney. This is the scope of services. First one's always review your immigration documents, research current law procedures. We always give ourselves time to do this. But on this one, the curating file is important because you've got the fees here, and you got your adjustment of status, your legal fee. Give them a discount maybe. Okay, you mentioned that there, but it's rack rate now, and here's the total amount. So if you need to change this because there's a 10%, you're going to cross this out, and you're going to put the 10% down here. All right. And then fees for the support services. Curating fees, 10% of the contract price per year. First year free. I really highly recommend you do a curating fee like this. 10% of the contract price is good because more complex prices, more complex contracts have more higher prices. So it evens out. It's fair. It's reasonable. And then processing fees, 25 per month to run the payment if they do a payment plan. And then credit cards, 30%, 3% processing fees. No fee for checks or direct deposit. That's how we set that up. And then the rest of the contract, of course, you can read this and understand, the way we're doing the contracts here. Here's our integrity refund. Here's our error free of charge. And then the client's duties here. Discharge, and you've already seen all this, so that's good. And that's how it ends it really. And then if from the contract is the last document, but you get the contracts and the addendums, and then you set up the contacts, the accounts, and the files, and you schedule that first set of promises, whatever you promised to do, and get that on the calendar. And then here's more information on the contracts, how to set that up. And then we come to the last part of this program, which is the fee setting for immigration attorneys, the secret keys to maximizing your fees. This is a program that we do. It's a whole separate training, but I'm giving it to you as part of this because I want you to have this. This is, I think it's 2 CDs. I think it's 6 hours of video from an MCLE presentation that we did. This manual is be completed before you watch the video. So the manual walks you through a whole series of questions to get you thinking about fee setting and how to value your services, what that really means, and look at the resistance points. Give yourself an assessment of how good you're actually setting fees, what's going on for you. It's a powerful program. This one, people who don't have this information, it's really hard for them to be successful. Some people do this naturally, a lot of us don't. So this program, Secret Keys to Maximizing Your Fees, is really a great one. So go through this, and this is another thing that we can go over on your coaching, is just to go through all the exercises here on this. But I'm not going to go through it right now because the video is self-explanatory, and you can just go through and read this and fill in all of the spots, and then watch the video, and you'll be so dialed in. Okay, well that does it for us. So thank you so much for watching the program, and get in touch with me to get your training and coaching package going. Take care. Bye-bye.